Third day of the week. Welcome to Wednesday on the AM show. My name, as always, it remains Benjamin Akakpo. And of course, I always do this together with Bernice Abubedu-Lanza. You'll be seeing her later on the show. But coming up this morning, right after we serve you the news, there will be sports. Well, after the news review, there will be sports. But that news review will be together with political scientist, also director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asasanti. He is our guest on that beat. And then we get into our big stories. What do we have lined up? Today on the AM show, we revive our conversation on illegal mining, popularly called Galamsey. Illegal miners have, guess what, taken over River Tano in a renewed onslaught on the already polluted water source, despite a recent crackdown on irresponsible mining close to Samreboy in the western region. You remember, it's been a year since we last went there, and now it's getting even murkier. The Environmental Protection Agency has revealed disturbing levels of mercury concentration in the river in the Samreboy catchment area. We'll be interacting with the relevant authorities on that matter. But also on the show, there's more. We'll be talking about Ghana's decaying stadium. We'll take you to the western region. Now, my colleague Samuel Kojo-Brace has been highlighting how the Asipon Stadium has been left to rot due to bad management of the facility. I'm sure you recall the finance minister telling us everything there had got to 98% completion. Well, we'll air his report and then speak to some stakeholders on that matter. But today being a Wednesday, courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, we'll be coming your way with AM Business. What do we have lined up for you today? In this edition, some Ghanaians are asking government to account for all the money received from the country's donors to fight COVID-19. Fair deal, right? We'll bring you details of that later on the show. And then we'd also tell you in our latest campaign, Ghana's Potholes exhibition, what the state of our roads is. We tell the story of how Ghana's major roads have been ridden with potholes. Kojo Jansen will be on that beat. He may create a humorous picture, but it's a rather serious situation. As always, we offer you the opportunity of getting interactive with us. What are we without you? Ubuntu, yeah? So just pick up your phone at the tail end of the show, give us a buzz, and in the course of the show, what are your thoughts? We'd love to know. Share them via our social media streams. On that note, let's settle for the news up next. On to the news now. Thanks for staying. In our first story, Municipal Chief Executive for Lejokuku, Mordecai Kwashi, has rejected a 2-month ultimatum by residents of Teshie to fix all roads in the enclave. Hundreds of residents took to the streets Tuesday to protest the poor nature of their roads. They say this is the first in a series of demonstrations to demand immediate action from government. Here's James Aveji's report.
As early as 6 a.m., these residents started massing up on the streets. In a short time, hundreds of them, including traditional leaders, had already gathered in what they call the Meba Teshie or White Teshie demonstration to call on government to fix all inner roads in the municipality. Some of the notable roads include Teshie Estate Road, Zongo Junction Road, and Teshie Agbleja Road, among others. Most of these stretches are riddled with potholes, creating gullies and mini ponds buried in the belly of the roads, posing danger to road users.
This part of the street is what they call the Coffee Street. It's actually from the first junction towards the MC's office. As you can see in your shot, these are empty sacks of cement as well as some other bags, which is an indication that the residents had earlier tried to patch the roads by themselves, where they fetch sand into sacks and dump them in some bellies of potholes on the roads in order to facilitate the easy moving of vehicles.
The residents say they cannot take it any longer.
Buying and selling is not moving. When you pick a taxi, you are going for a short distance. Instead of the taxi driver should take like 10 cities, the taxi driver will take 50 cities. And the residents are very, very angry.
Roads are very bad, especially the greater estate and the first junction to Tribler Road is very bad. It's very bad. We have 3 miscarriages. Women are having miscarriages. You understand? So I want to plead the MCE, that's Honorable Madika, to fix our road for us.
When we sent the flyer, we saw them that they have gone to the site and they started doing some of the work. But as I'm telling you currently, they've moved the excavators from the proposed starting point for the demonstration, and we can't see those things there.
When we go to the assembly meeting, we even do that. Do this road, do this and this. We will not do it. We will tell us that you have gone to the road minister. We should go to court. When we go to court, we should go and present our issues there. We go to the road minister several times. Several times, nothing has happened.
As they approached the entrance of the Lejekuku Municipal Assembly to present their petition, chaos broke out. The gate to the assembly had been tightly locked and manned by several police officers who prevented the protesters. Finally, a consensus was reached to allow only leadership of the concerned resident of Teshie and pressmen to gain entry. Leader of the group, Metal Nono Jr., in his petition gave government 2 months to fix the road.
Municipal Chief Executive, if you are asleep, wake up.
Don't sleep.
If you are asleep, wake up. So, boy, this is our word. We are giving you 2 months ultimatum. If we hear nothing, the Constitution gives us the right, Article 21(1)(d), to embark on civil demonstration. The Public Order Act 1994 gives us the right. 2 months ultimatum, and you hear from the people of Teshie again.
But the Municipal Chief Executive Mordecai Kwashe says the roads cannot be fixed in 2 months.
The government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo doesn't need your ultimatum to perform. I've told you that we've given us 4 major projects in our municipality. And these are roads. Before last week, a contractor was giving our roads. These roads are being done now, right, as we speak. Work is going on as we speak. It's a big project. The guy won't be at one location all through the project, but the project is ongoing, and we will not relent. The contractor will not leave until these 4 roads are done. When these 4 roads are done, we will all know the 4 roads are done. The cost, I can't give you the cost now, but the roads immediately deemed for constructing are around 16.9 kilometers. But as I said, be that as it may, it's fine. All is well that ends well. This demonstration has ended peacefully. It has been a good demonstration.
Speaking to the media, Member of Parliament for the Lejekuku constituency, Benjamin Ayikunate, also noted that the contractors have assured him that the job will be done in 6 months.
I believe the youth of this community will exercise patience and will keep on watching. The work is going on. Within 6 months, most of our roads will be fixed.
As for the resident, all they ask is for their road to be fixed, else government risks series of demonstrations to drum home their demand if their ultimatum is not met. James Kwesiaveji's report read to you.
Meanwhile, a group calling itself the Single Man Contractors Association has been picketing at the Ministry of Roads and Highways in Accra over non-payment of their 3 years arrears, now amounting to some 250 million Ghana cedis. Here's Carlos Kaloni's report.
The Single Man Contractors Association, who say they are private contractors engaged by the Ghana Highways Authority to carry out works such as the silting of drains within and around highways, among others, Tuesday morning picketed the Ministry of Roads and Highways demanding the payment of outstanding arrears. According to them, since August 2019, government has failed to pay them for works done over a 3-year period, accumulating to some 250 million Ghana cedis. Some members of the group say even though they have not been paid, their debtors are after them following a memo they cited claiming payment have been effected.
Nationwide, they owe us more than 250 million Ghana cedis. This paper coming out, a lot of people are demanding for those who that we own, they are demanding for their money. Which means we are trying to be bad person here because we went and borrowed money from them to execute project and they have paid us and we don't want to return their money back to them, which is not good.
Our debtors, because they have heard that they have been paid, whilst actually we have not even received a peso from the ministry.
According to them, some of their members have already passed away, with many others battling varying kinds of ailments owing to their inability to raise funds for medical treatment. This 77-year-old woman and her colleagues lament the dire impact the non-payment of the money is having on them.
Just imagine, for almost 4 years, you have worked and you have not been paid. We have to eat. We all go to the same market, the same hospital, and so many other things. If you are depriving us with our own money, what do you want to happen to us? You just want to hear that we are dead and gone, as most of us has happened to them.
I am unable to pay my child's school fees. We have borrowed money so much that I cannot even sleep. We find it difficult to even feed. I am diabetic and hypertensive. My drugs have run out, but I don't have money to buy anymore.
Speaking to Joy News, the national organizer of the group, John Atasem, said they are giving the ministry a 2-week ultimatum to pay all the outstanding monies.
We are giving the government now, but let me give them a letter where they go 2 weeks. As soon as they have been able to pay one person out of 1,000, 2,000, they have to pay us. We are giving them 2 weeks. They should pay us.
Joy News' attempt to speak to the authorities on the matter at the ministry have not been successful.
These have been the concerns of the Single Man Contractors Association of Ghana, who actually carry out works for the ministry as well as the Ghana Highways Authority. They are giving the ministry 2 weeks ultimatum to actually pay them their money. Otherwise, they would advise themselves. Reporting from the Ministry of Roads and Highways here in Accra, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
In our next story, Ghana's housing sector is envisaged to experience substantial gains with interventions proffered by doctoral students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, that Department of Architecture. Now, their work, ranging from climate-smart houses to inclusive designs, outline ways Ghana's built environment can meet the ever-changing demands of the citizens and the environment. There's more in this report.
25 works were screened by a panel consisting of the head of the Center for Settlement Studies, Professor Divine Haji, head of the Architecture Department, Professor Resford Asasiopon, Construction Technology and Management Consultant, Professor Emmanuel Adinyira, and Professor Kwesi Preko of the Physics Department. Third-year PhD student Ms. Henrietta Brew in Timadai, whose work focused on interior green-blue spaces, was crowned the overall best.
The problem is that urbanization has had an effect on our environment, and one of them impact is in our indoor environment. And we're looking at poor air quality, we're looking at noise pollution, air pollution, thermal comfort, and then the general quality of life. Now, the indoor environment is affected by other things, that is culture, that plays a role. And because of, in the olden days, the indigenous people have beliefs and practices, such as our ancestor worship and reverence for our natural environment. As a result of urbanization, we're just trying to find out if it's still relevant to us today.
President of the group, Prince Ofuria Brokwa, was optimistic the works will inform policy.
Because I know it must inform policy framework for the benefit of the country. After all, they invest in a public institution, and the public also must benefit from what we are doing.
Professor Emmanuel Adinyira, who served as an external assessor, was impressed with some of the presentations and urged other researchers to actively communicate their activities.
This is clearly, as the HOD communicated to us, a course in architecture for those reading a PhD in architecture. And it's a course that is meant for them to not only be equipped with how to present their work, but how to graphically also communicate their research. And that is essential. In academia, we tend to be quite fussy about writing papers and, of course, theses and all that, but a very important way to communicate our research is through posters, where we use simple text with graphics, very captivating graphics, and then we are able to engage. And I think that's what this session is offered us. I've been very impressed with some of them, yes, but of course they are students, so there are issues that they can always improve on, yes.
Reporting for Joy.
Now, many young girls lack knowledge about menstrual periods until they reach puberty. But understanding the menstrual cycle is crucial for managing their menstrual hygiene. The founder of Africa Nyonu, Malonate, has introduced Sew a Pad and Stay in School, SAPSIS, that project to teach adolescents how to sew reusable sanitary pads with their hands using local fabric. There is more in this report.
So if someone menstruates for 21 days, it means they'll menstruate 2 times in a month.
Many young girls still do not know what menstrual periods are until they reach puberty. Understanding the menstrual cycle helps girls learn about their bodies and how to manage their menstrual hygiene.
So how do we count it? When you menstruate today, you tick it on a calendar. The first day you see your blood is day 1. Let's bear that in mind. The first day you see your blood or you menstruate is day 1.
But the knowledge is not enough without menstrual hygiene product. The imposition of a 20% luxury tax on menstrual hygiene product has made it even more difficult for these women, especially young girls, to access the product they need.
It's the same way sanitary pads are made. So they come with a shorter front and a longer back.
However, with the necessary skills, young girls can sew reusable sanitary pads for themselves. Malloy Nate is the founder of Africa Nyonu.
And teaching them how to sew their own reusable sanitary pads using locally sourced fabrics. And that is what we are doing because the prices of sanitary pads are hiking. They are becoming too expensive for them to afford. So we are hoping and praying that this intervention will help them to acquire menstrual hygiene material every month and they'll be able to come to school and not stay at home.
A student at the Abosokai Basic School, Precious Inshraba, emphasizes the importance of observing menstrual hygiene as a young girl.
As a lady like we should always make sure that we change our pad 4 times a day. 4 times a day and prevent ourselves from flowing of the blood.
Empowering young girls with access to menstrual product, education and appropriate facilities is essential for their overall well-being. Prince Oswansa's report for Joy News.
He had high hopes of winning the maiden edition of Joy Prime's Cues and Lyrics, but that dream has now ebbed away after 7 weeks in the competition. Today we look at Udin's journey through the competition.
Would you keep on loving me?
Little did he know this would be his last performance on Cues and Lyrics.
Would you keep bringing out the best in me?
Udin failed to impress the judges with his rendition of Saddest Sweetest Taboo.
I feel Patapap as you. He is a better artist than you. Vocally, you're very good, but you're sad on stage.
Unfortunately, the votes failed him too.
The journey ends for you here today.
Udin becomes the 3rd contestant to drop the microphone and exit the competition. Despite his exit, he's left us with some great memories.
I saw the light inside you shine bright.
He was among a group of 4 to win the judge's favorite prize for the first time. Eugene's performance improved as he surprised the judges with an enthralling rendition of Kamido's Sugarcane. We wish him well in his future endeavors. Meanwhile, 9 contestants are still in the game, yearning to clinch the ultimate prize. Remember, you have the power to keep your favorite contestant from eviction. Dial *711*60# to vote. Cues and lyrics. Bring on the music.
Whoa, girl, I want to be dancing with you forever. You see through this storm and take me as I am. Take me as I am.
And on that sad note, we take a cue right into the newspaper review with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Do stay. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us. We're back with the news review right here on the AM show, and we're grateful that you've stayed on this platform. Shortly, I'll be interacting with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He is a political scientist, also director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. But this segment, as always, is brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. There's a reason they say Endpoint, because if you go there, it's going to be the end to your chronic disease. But what are they offering? Free prostate screening, free female fertility screening. A lot of us don't get ourselves checked. It's high time you did. Don't wait till something strikes you, boom, and then you now go and things get complicated. So you can locate them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, in Kumasi, Kronoma Bwehian behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's also Takrady Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama in Zimba. The numbers to reach them on 0244 867 068, 0244 867 068, or 0274 234 321, 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, like I said, the end to chronic disease. Leading us into the news review segment this morning. And we have a lean stack of newspapers this morning. The Daily Guide newspaper, the Finder newspaper, the Daily Statesman, and the Custodian. Maybe we'll buttress that, back it up with some online stories as well. But a lot has been happening, whether it's to do with the pads, sanitary pads our young girls use, or the state of our roads, major roads in the country. Unfortunately, and why it is important that I bring that up, unfortunately, in the Gomwa area, we saw what happened, that Abidjan, Takrady-bound vehicle, I think, the Yutong bus, and that gory accident. It sent chills down my spine yesterday just following it. At the last time I followed that story, 16 people had lost their lives. And the description, I don't want to ruin your morning, but limbs all over the place, askew, people split in two, decapitated, and all of that. The experts will tell you that while the human element is problematic, yes, speeding, among others, the state of our roads and others also come into play. In this particular instance, from all that we've heard, we suspect maybe the driver of the Yutong bus may have been asleep and all of that, all the way from Abidjan, which also points to the fact that these commercial bus companies, or even the state-owned ones, must ensure that there are at least 2 or even 3, depending on the distance, people plying that route in terms of driving. Driving is work. You get tired. I felt so sad on the back of that yesterday. But let me say a very good morning to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Ben.
Thanks for joining the conversation this morning. As always, I'll throw the ball to you first in terms of your most prominent issues over the last week, between the last time we spoke and now. Well, I wasn't here for about 2 weeks, so But since the last time we interacted till now, there's been the vetting of Justice Tokonu. There have been issues to do with Galamsey. In fact, today we're getting into that issue. There are the spate of road accidents, sanitary pads with all kinds of taxes. What are you going to be talking to us about right before we get into the papers?
Yes, I want to look at road accidents.
Okay.
You and I have heard the gory tales of what is happening on our roads. And I'm so worried because this country is struggling to build the human resource of this country. And at the same time, through a lot of factors, we are losing a lot. Even if we lose one person, it's bad enough to talk about it on this platform. And there are a lot of factors. We're talking about engineering problems. We're talking about carelessness on the part of drivers. We're talking about the inability of the police to ensure that cars are roadworthy and the rules governing driving, the drive industry is held to the highest level. All these things are worrying us one way or the other. But it seems to me that our state, our country, is not finding a lasting solution to it. My question is, when are we going to deal with this so that it becomes a thing of the past? It is a worrying situation that now, when you are taking any vehicle, you are not sure whether you get to your destination. That uncertainty should not be part of our thinking. Our thinking is that anytime we ply the road, we get to our destination and fulfill whatever we want to fulfill in the day. So if there is something that we need to do, one of the things that it has to be done is to fix this problem once and for all. I will urge every Ghanaian to see it as a war. Let us declare war on this menace so that we can save ourselves, save our society, save our government, and then build a society that is free of accident. The accident may come, but we want to see a situation where we have reduced it to the barest minimum. It should be a concern to everybody, not only government, not only the police or the stakeholders, but we as individuals, we owe it to ourselves to save our lives and save our family and our society. I think that we must take the rule governing the industry seriously and abide by them. And then whoever is supposed to work and maintain, free, accident-free, program.
Hello, Doc. Well, we appear to have lost Dr. Kwame Asah-Sante, not to anything, to the poor internet connectivity, if it's not a call coming through. But we'll get him right back to wrap up on those comments. It's just on the back of what happened in the central region en route to the Liberian camp, I should say, yesterday when that gory accident happened at dawn. So the call came through to the fire service at around 5:14 a.m. And by the time officials got there, there were some witnesses and all of that. Disaster had struck. When we get Doc back, we'll let him wrap up on his thoughts on the spate of road accidents. But let's start with the Daily Guide newspaper. Let's make Ghana tourism destination. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. That story is on page 6. There's also Napo celebrates birthday in Monaco. Chilling be what? Anyway. Bawumia picks NPP flag bearer forms, and their Sidiku Buhari's son tops U.S. varsity. If you know anything about that sector or that industry, you would know about Sidiku Buhari. Well, I'll be bringing you some details of that. So does Galamsey's clash in Obuasi. And I'll have a lot to say about that Galamsey situation because it is clear we are not winning FOCO. We are not winning anything. Let's stop deceiving ourselves. Galamsey is beating us left, right, center. It is flogging us. It's a flagellation, isn't it? And some people walking the corridors of power are tickling themselves and laughing that something is being done. And some are so what's the word? I'm trying to season my words, choose them carefully. I don't mind treading on anyone's corns, but you have to be morally correct, politically correct sometimes. Some people are so duplicitous, dubious. You remember last year, or was it this year? Someone went to a certain area where there's an estuary, and at some point in the year, water will push back from the other source. I went and took a photo of that portion, and brought it and said that, oh, you know, the river is being... It's a shameless leadership we have as far as Galamsey is concerned, and beyond as well. Shameless. Look at our economy. But let's not start Friday too early. My blunt thoughts will come to you on Friday. So just Galamsey's clash in Obuasi, and then Asin North up for grabs. The NDC is insisting it will go with James Jachikwason once more, regardless of the criminal charges that have been brought against him in court. We'll see how that pans out. But let's get some details. Do we have Doc back now? All right, we'll try to reconnect with Doc. He'll wrap up his thoughts on the state of our roads, and then we'll take it from there. Of course, on the back page of the Daily Graphic, Pochettino doesn't want Felix at Chelsea. João Felix, I'm speaking of. He came from Atletico Madrid, and it appears he's falling out of favor with the new coach. All Stars Festival set for June the 20th, and then Stars coach named squad for AFCON qualifier. Guess what? He's included Andre Dedeayu. Some were thinking he should be axed. I've heard some football commentators, maybe I shouldn't call them pundits, commentators say he shouldn't be in the squad, but he is there. And then gold medals won't solve my problems. Great Britain's three-time Olympic swimming champion Adam Peaty says gold medals will not solve his problems. He's spoken about periods of depression, problems with alcohol, and recently said he had been in a self-destructive spiral. Sometimes success comes with a lot of challenges, and some are not able to handle them so well. We all need to find the balance and pray and help one another. Ubuntu, right? I am because you are. But let's get into the major stories in the Daily Guide. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia formally entered the ruling New Patriotic Party presidential race on Tuesday when members of his campaign picked up nomination forms for him. The forms were picked by former Chief Executive Officer of the Bui Power Authority, Fred Owari, who was accompanied by the Director General of the National Lottery Authority, Samia Uku, and former South Africa Ambassador from Ghana, Dr. George A.C. Boateng. This comes after the party's national executives rejected an earlier attempt by members of the Bawumia Fan Club to pick the form for him, backed by a 50,000 Ghana cedi check. On Friday, May the 26th, the group led by its founder, Intim Jakari, attempted to pick presidential nomination papers for Dr. Bawumia to run for the MPP flag bearership, but the party leadership said the group lacked authorization from the vice president's campaign team to do so. So the number 2 gentleman of the land has picked up forms now. But I have a question for him. Touted as the economic whiz kid, the economic big brain, the solution to our problems. In fact, the president has referred to him time without number as that great repository of knowledge. I'm asking in a very humble way, what is knowledge if it can't be put to use? Just saying. I'm not saying he is not knowledgeable. Don't get me wrong. He is schooled in what he has learned. But if knowledge cannot be applied to solve problems, what is that? You do know the difference between knowledge and wisdom, right? Knowledge is knowing. Wisdom is the proper application of knowledge. So I'm just reflecting this morning. This is spontaneous, not planned. Dr. Bawumia, with everything you said about the macroeconomy and the microeconomy and everything in between, and the rate of the cedi back then, and going to the IMF, oh, lest I forget, and everything else in between, if we find ourselves in the dire straits we do, especially as you are head of the EMT, the Economic Management Team, flag bearer, right? I rest my case. Sidiku Buhari's son tops in U.S. varsity, and veteran musician and former national athlete Sidiku Buhari is proud father of Ashraf Buhari, who has graduated from the University of Pittsburgh School of Dental Medicine in the United States as a dental surgeon. Ashraf Buhari, 31, graduated with flying colors, sweeping away several awards, including the prestigious Dean Scholarship Award and the American Board of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery Award. With his achievements and hard work, Ashraf Buhari has successfully been accepted to the Texas A&M Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery Residency for a 6-year intensive training in orthognathic surgery. It's a mouthful. Head and neck oncology, dent alveolar surgery, trauma, and cosmetics. Alhaji Sidiku Buhari, with his wife, Hajia Muinatu Buhari, and children, congratulated their son for making them proud. And not just them, he's made all of us proud. The success of any Ghanaian anywhere should be our success, and we celebrate him. Asin North up for grabs, and Parliament has notified the Electoral Commission of the occurrence of a vacancy in the Asin North constituency necessitated by the judgment of the Supreme Court on May the 17th, 2023. A Daily Guide gathered that the subject was discussed thoroughly over the weekend at the Service Board meeting. Now, Clerk to Parliament, Cyril Kwabena Oting Insia, in a letter dated May the 29th, 2023, explained that the move was in exercising the power conferred and the duty imposed on him by Section 3 of the Constitution of Ghana, Amendment Act 1996, Act 527. So, and a bit of a play on the situation there, the designer, the graphic, maybe not graphic designer, but columnist, or should I say cartoonist, that's what I'm looking for, cartoonist in the Daily Guide newspaper. I love Canada, Canada with a K in the shirt of James Jachikwesa. It would be an interesting picture, though. It would be the first, at least if memory serves, for me, where this situation would have happened, especially in the Fourth Republic and maybe beyond, where someone was in Parliament as an elected member, then through such means as were raised, was asked to step aside, and if he contested and won again, returned to Parliament. That would be an interesting case study, really, for some of us who are students of politics. But that is the situation there. Doc, welcome back.
Thank you.
I don't know how much you've missed. I don't know whether you've been following the conversation.
If you can give me, headlines.
Okay, so quickly,
good follow because some of these things.
Very quickly, Bawumia picks up MPP flag bearer forms, and I was just, reflecting that, look, he was touted as the economic wizkid, look at our economy, head of the economic management team, and a number of other things that he stood for that we're no longer, we're not seeing the impact on our economy. And I was genuinely saying that, look, I think in leadership, we should really be able to assess ourselves. Promises versus delivery. And no matter how good we may be, it's like the case of someone being a very good student but not being able to teach someone else, or being a very good lecturer, or being very knowledgeable in something but not being a good communicator of that knowledge. I don't know when we'll get to that point. In other jurisdictions, people resign, prominent people, hardworking people, for very basic things. There is that conscience, that responsibility. In our part of the world, I don't see that. And we have leaders who fail, literally, and they still want to continue at post. To do what, I ask? I don't understand. And I'm not trying to single out the vice president. I am talking about all of these people. Alhaji Chamating served in different administrations, under Kufuor, under this administration. Commander, look at Commander. There are so many dynamics at play, but that was my reflection there. Then we also have Sidiku Buhari's son, who is topping in the University of Pittsburgh School of Dental Medicine, making all of us proud. Veteran musician, Sidiku Buhari. And then I was talking about Asin North. The Electoral Commission has now officially said there's going to be a by-election. But I was just reflecting on how, in political circles, as a student of politics, this would be an interesting case study. It would be the first time for me that I am seeing a situation where someone was voted into Parliament, sat in Parliament, became a legislator, legislated, and then at a point was told, you actually don't qualify, and then was asked to step aside. Now the NDC is saying they will stick with him if they do, and if he is allowed to bar the charges against him, the criminal end of the charges against him in court. And if he does win again, how interesting would that be? Came to Parliament, had to leave Parliament, came back to Parliament within one parliamentary window, the 8th Parliament. I find that very interesting. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yes, I will start with the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia. Yes, he has every right to go for his forms to announce his interest or his intention to contest the MPP primaries. There's no doubt about that. But the question is what you have really asked as to what is it that he's going to bring to the fore, given the fact that we are in a difficult economic situation, and then he has been touted as one of the best in terms of economic ideas, economic management, and the rest of them. Sitting at where I am, I have no doubt in my mind that Dr. Bawumia is a good economist. There is no doubt about that. What we have is the politics of it, that people want to, use it to explain his actions and the rest of them. But a question that people ask, that what is it that he's bringing to the fore, is also legitimate, because here you are, he's the head of economic management team, and how we have arrived here must agitate his mind. And that brings me to my last point on him, is that, yes, he's good, there's no doubt about that, but there are two questions that await him. One is, he should be able to explain to us how we are able to arrive here. Why is it that, in spite of all his ideas, experience, and knowledge, the economy of this country has sunk so low that we have gone to the IMF again, something that his government promised that would never do. We have to win ourselves off the IMF. Today we are there. The second issue is that he has been presiding over the economic management team. What is it that he could not offer his government? And that it is now that he believes that if giving the nod, he will be able to offer this country. These are questions that are with my vice president, your vice president, and I'm not the one to proffer a solution or solutions to these questions. I'll move on to look at
and let me just add, Doc, that is also reflective of all of those who have been in power, whether as ministers or whatever. Dr. Akoto Efriye, Alan Chebating, Wachie Jako, former President John Dramani Mahama. It reflects on them as well, the point I'm making. Yeah. If you've been there and done that, and you didn't deliver, I mean, there are different levels of delivery. I get that. But if you've been there and done that, and you didn't deliver, and now all of a sudden you want to come back, or you want to continue on whatever front, as a citizen, I'm going to be asking myself, so what has changed? What is new? What are you bringing?
Yeah. That question is also for all of them. You've said it right. They have to answer that. It's not me. But maybe they have something that you and I do not know. The time is now for them to show us what is under their sleeves that they want to share with us. The second issue is the issue of that signal. It's going to be an interesting one. If NDC want to go ahead with the position that they will maintain him to contest for the primaries. As a student of politics, I believe that it is doable within the space for the NDC. Why am I saying that? If you look at the statistics, NDC has won 4 times, NPP 3. Until recently, it is the NDC which was having or holding the seat, and the issue that you and I know brought the MP out of Parliament. If the people believe in their candidates, obviously they will vote for him because they have not seen much of him in terms of his performance in Parliament, and this is a person that they voted massively for. And because of the issue, he was brought out of Parliament. If you want to follow that conversation, then there's no doubt in my mind that NDC has a little edge over the MPP if they should bring Judge Kwesing or even a different person. because then the people want to see the end of their the way they exercise their franchise, whether it's worth doing the same. Another factor that also is strong for them is the issue of the economy, which is affecting everybody without leaving the people of Abasing North. And that is going to be brought to bear on the campaign situation there. That area also requires infrastructure development and other factors. So these things are going to be drummed to the ears of the voters, and it can be the game changer. I also concede that MPP will not sit down aloof and then, will not put in a performance. They are going to give them a run for their money. And that means that they are going to marshal all resources and go in there and go for the kill. So it's going to be an interesting one. But from the statistics and from the way events have turned out to be, I have no doubt in my mind that the NDC stand a little chance more than the MPP.
Let's also take a look at this. We started talking about Galamsey. Let's turn to page 6 quickly and take a swipe at that story. Soldiers, Galamsey's clash, in Obuasi, and military officers in Obuasi yesterday used warning shots to disperse a group of illegal mining protesters who are demanding the release of their colleagues detained by the police. The police apprehended and detained some 48 illegal miners known as Galamseyers after they emerged from an Anglo-Gold Ashanti mine shaft on Tuesday afternoon. They were claimed to be among 300 Galamseyers who entered the mine shaft illegally in quest of gold reserves. Colleagues and family members of the Galamseyers stormed the police station in response to the arrest, calling for the release of the people being held. Now, while demonstrating and expressing their frustration, the demonstrators smashed the window glass of a vehicle that was used to transport the illegal miners to the police station. Armed military soldiers, or armed soldiers, I don't know about military soldiers, armed soldiers were then dispatched to the area to scatter the unruly youth. Anyway, I'm sort of judging whoever wrote this story. I'll just not mention the name. But dispersed the unruly youth, who had then started shouting war songs. Before finally directing the charge to youth away from the streets, the military men fired a string of shots. That is the situation. And AngloGold, in response, the AGA management denied reports that the illegal miners were confined in the mine shaft. In fact, I listened to that yesterday in the news, insisting that the miners were free to leave the area on foot using the mine's existing ramp, but some of them were afraid of getting apprehended. You know, yesterday, while I listened to this story, Doc, I found something very interesting. These are illegal miners on property they shouldn't be on. They are trespassing. This is criminal. They're going to search for gold, and all the gold in the country belongs to us. It is reposed in the state, in fact, in Mr. President, to handle on our behalf. Now, AngloGold Ashanti has been given that concession, so to speak, to mine and then pay royalties. And these people are illegally going into pits where they shouldn't be. I understand the human face to it. But at what point do we stop and reflect and say, you did the wrong thing? I heard a woman crying and saying, and her husband had been arrested the first time, and now he was there again, and how would they feed? How would they eat? And all of that. It doesn't justify anything. Wrong is wrong. And they were saying, and don't they have feelings and all of that? I don't know how long we can keep on playing these games, Doc. But let me just tie that into this one for your quick reflection. Kwesa White convicted of contempt and cautioned. And Professor Michael Kwesa White, a member of the opposition National Democratic Congress, was yesterday convicted of contempt of court by the Supreme Court for calling it stupid, among other insults. He was convicted on his own plea of guilty to the charge of contempt of court resulting from comments he posted on his Twitter page, which according to the court scandalized, ridiculed, and prejudiced it. I'll not go into detail. I'll not belabor the point because you know the story. But in light of his quoting a certain book and then referencing a certain court, others have asked, is the judiciary becoming... You remember Baron de Montesquieu, and then the others, division of separation of powers, among others. It would appear from some people's, take that the judiciary is becoming a judge in its own court on its own matter. In other words, you do something against me, I determine what exactly has been done, and I sit on it and deliver justice. What's your take on these two stories?
Yes, I will start with the Anglo Gold story. It's a very unfortunate story. Unfortunate in the sense that we have glorified crimes in this country to the extent that now people feel that there is an entitlement when you commit a crime and you are in a difficult situation, they have to free you and the rest of them. Yesterday, I listened to Anglo Gold, their statement, which was very apt, that yes, you can come out, but remember that there are securities at the exit who are doing their work. Why would people want to enter a place that by law they are not required to do so? And then always, when they are in difficulty, they want to, throw that into our eyes by what? Appealing to pity, so that we'll have mercy on them. It tells us that NCC has a lot to do, even though they are working day and night. They have to also strengthen education about on our responsibilities as citizens of this country. That if you commit any crime, nobody is going to save you. It doesn't matter whether you have family or you don't have family, or they are dependent upon you, the one who committed a crime. So all these things are part of the reason why we need to strengthen advocacy on civic responsibilities and duties. And then we also educate people about certain basic aspects of our laws so that we get them straight. The action taken by the Galamseyers are nothing but wrong action. They are illegal. And where they are now, nothing can free them unless the court says so. So I believe that the rule of law must be followed rigidly without fear or favor, so that these things will serve as deterrent for others who nurture the ambition of doing the same. We are sick and tired about people who want to take the law into their own hands and then appeal to us from a point of pity. We won't accept that. The issue of Pesa White matter, we know that the story too well to recount it here. But I take a lesson from it. And the lesson is that the lawyers will tell you, yes, as soon as the court delivers a verdict on something, or you have something that you want to say about an issue the court has touched on, you need to be measured and tempered. I am happy that my friend and my colleague yesterday was freed, and I'm sure he, on a sober note, will reflect as to what went wrong on his part. All of us must to bring out criticism. The court has said that time and again, that there is nothing wrong people criticizing the court, but we need to be measured and tempered so that we don't cross lines that we don't need to cross. No. The issue about the second bit, about the court sitting on its own matter, I don't blame the court for the simple reason that if you look at this, yesterday I had a lengthy education from Samson on the issue of this criminal contempt and the rest of them. What I pick from education from him and other people is that it is worth knowing that this country, there are things we need to do. One is that if we don't want the existing law that we have, that is that we don't have, contempt law, then we need to take steps to clear these things from our books. Otherwise, the court will have no option than to use what is available to them. My understanding from my reading and other people I talked to who educated me is that in England or the Commonwealth, this particular issue we are confronted with is an old law that was used in the Commonwealth. True. And now today, even Britain have moved away and they have what? Contempt of Court Act that spells out all the frontiers and all the details and appropriate punishment.
Exactly.
If this country believes that this law is obsolete and we need to expunge it, I'm not sure we can blame the court. If we do it, the court, as for the court, they are there to interpret and make use of law. They will make use. But for now, if we don't, expunge it and come up with a new law, which I'm struggling to understand why politicians have over the years complained about this law. You recall recently when our Chief Justice nominee was being vetted, somebody posed a question as to whether he would do something about this contempt issue so that we can get a law that is clearly spelled out all the fine details of it and all that. And Madam said that, yes, he will look at it. It tells us that MPs or politicians might take it as a matter of agency and come out with a law that will help all of us if we really want to deal with this situation once and for all. Otherwise, we have no business blaming the court that, yes, they will call people before them, prefer charges against them, and then sit on the matter and then judge them. If there's no law and this is what exists, what do we expect them to do? Otherwise, then we are saying that we are accusing them unnecessarily. We know the right thing to do, and I'm sure if we come out with a law on contempt, spelling out all the details that we need, I'm sure this problem will be a thing of the past. Until now, we must keep our mouth shut if we don't want to do anything about it.
Word, and that's exactly what you've said. It goes back to our criminal, jurisprudence and all of that. That listen, even it's like with our laws. If something is not a crime, you can't do anything about it. And what is a crime and what the penal code states as a punishment is what the judges will apply. So they're constrained by that. The Finder newspaper achieved 2 million tourist arrivals by 2025. President tasks ministry. Finder newspaper. President tasks. Where's the S? And then 16 dead, 40 others injured in Gomwa Otreko accident. Occupy Ghana pledges support for conduct of public officers bill passage. And Dr. Baumia picks forms. Let's look at that story on page 10 as we get ready to wind down on our conversation. Where's page 10? There it is. So, pressure group Occupy Ghana has assured government that it remains ready and willing to assist cabinet in reconsidering the draft bill on the conduct of public officers 2022 before it is approved and sent to Parliament for the debate and enactment. The pressure group in a letter to cabinet stated that despite the fact that government had thumbed its nose at them on the issue, they were simultaneously glad and saddened that it had now found its way back to the table, compelled by Ghana's current economic dire straits and the dictates of the International Monetary Fund. The letter was copied to the Chief of Staff, Attorney General, Minister for Justice, Minister for Information, and the Executive Secretary of the Right to Information Commission. Occupy Ghana indicated that it was their conviction that passing the bill into law would go a long way to properly regulate the conduct of public officers and bring to pass the government's new promise to the IMF that the new act would, quote, address current weaknesses of the quote, assets declaration system. I'll leave it here. You do know that on the back of the IMF program, we're expecting certain changes. The prices of commodities are still starkly high. I'm waiting to see what the inflationary rate would be for the last month when we enter June, to see what it would be for this month, that is May. And we see the cedi, uncharacteristically, because we felt that once the IMF package came through and a few things were put in place, it would stabilize a lot more. That's not what we've seen. In fact, as of yesterday, it would require about 12 cedis and more to secure $1. We're still in dire straits. What do you make of this Occupy Ghana push for the conduct of public officers bills passage?
It's a good initiative. I support it. But I want to extend the conversation to other areas as far as the IMF Ghana relationship today is. If you look at the public officers' conduct and the effects on the our economy and the rest of them, I have no doubt in my mind that what Occupy Ghana is asking for is the right asset declaration. If you look at that law, it doesn't help anybody because you put something into an envelope and it's taken there, it's kept, and nobody looks at it as to the content, whether it contains something or not. It doesn't help anybody. If you really are interested in fighting corruption, one surest way to go is that people must declare their assets. We know where they are starting from, so that when they come to public office, we can see what they are taking home and the rest of them. It's a good call. If you extend the conversation into the attitude of public officers towards the job that they do, let's limit it to even the economy. It creates a whole lot of problems. And let's look at the last 3 days. I was listening to your network, and we were talking about how government is feverishly preparing to, do all is required of them by the IMF. And I sat down and I bowed my head in shame. I asked myself, government is ready to do all the things that the IMF is requesting us to do. We have to make sure that VAT, taxation, we have to get our points right. We have to make sure that there is already to put somebody at, Bank of Ghana.
As though we couldn't do that on our own, as though we couldn't think and do that on our own. And we needed someone with a cane standing over us to say, do this.
Yes, I am asking myself, look, when did we know that we'll be able to make sure that we do the right things? Over the years, we've been to the IMF this time or whatever time. So we didn't and saying that this is what was the reason that took us to IMF. So we are going to right that wrong. We didn't learn this, and that all the problems, all the direction they are giving us, isn't new to us. My conclusion is that it's not new. What I have realized over the years upon thorough reflection is that governments, all right, including this government, they want to do the wrong thing and they benefit from it. That is all. Otherwise, nobody can tell me that you and I, we are too intelligent to prefer proper ideas for government. No, that we have been exposed to a lot of things in other jurisdictions that they don't know. It's not true. The truth of the matter is that they know the right thing to do, they won't do, they will do the wrong things and benefit from it. Let's look at the issue of even road construction. You've seen government, allowing people to construct short-bill roads. Look at Kwame Nkrumah's motorway. It's still solid, built in 1958. They want to build in 8 years period so that by the time they leave office, they do their calculation, but by the time they come back in about 8 years' time, they come and repair the roads and then have their cuts on all these things. Look at it. You look at it carefully. You realize that the wrong things that they do, you borrow more, and because you have a company, that also gives you opportunity to do the assessment and then benefit from it. All these things are part of the machinations from government we have in the Fourth Republic. It is about time that the people of this country look at these things and throw all those people who have this type of ideas away and establish, get people who are credible, who will be able to think about the needs of this country and give them the mantle to run the affairs of the state. If you don't do this, I tell you, politicians will take us for a ride. It is not that they are bereft of ideas. It's not true. What is the truth is that they always do the wrong thing and benefit from it. So they will continue to do the wrong things. Otherwise, we will not arrive at where we are. It's unfortunate.
Unfortunate indeed, Doc. We have to sew it up here, but we're very grateful that you took the time to join us this morning on the AM show. It's a wet Wednesday morning. We wish you the best of the day as you go about your activities, sir.
I wish you the same. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's my former lecturer. I was talking yappy with my former lecturer at the University of Ghana, Political Science Department. Anyway, right before we get into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic aided us to bring you this segment. Now, they're offering, if you're a man, free prostate screening. If you're a woman, free fertility screening. Where can you locate them? Here in Accra, Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Tichiman Hanswa and Siamanzima. The call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to the end of the news review and the start of sports. Up next.
Good morning. AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Ablades, and an ending party in Sunyani as Tano Bofokwa makes a return to the Ghana Premier League for the first time in about 16-17 years. The last time they participated in the country's top flight competition was the 2006-2007 Ghana Premier League season, and they are making a return to the top flight of Ghana's football after defeating Teshie 11 Wonders via penalty shootout. The regulation time of the game and extra time of that contest ended 1-1, and they needed to go to a penalty lottery to book a ticket to the Ghana Premier League for next season. My colleague Razak Musbah was there and comes through with this report.
After 90 minutes, an extra time of football, it's all over here at the Crossport Stadium. The Division 1 Championship playoff has gone to the side of Bafokwa Tano. They are champions, and they will be playing in the Ghana Premier League come next season. They joined Pando Hearts of Lions and Nations FC to qualify for the Ghana Premier League come next season. It was a grueling football, 90 minutes of football action. They took the lead in the first half, but Teshie 11 Wonders equalized 1 minute into the second half. They equalized and the game traveled for 90 minutes. Tano Bofokwa, they dominated the game. They had the better of the chances, hitting the post about twice in the game, scored 2 goals, which were all flagged for offside, but they kept the fight on into extra time. They could not find a goal, but on penalties, they managed to do what was necessary. They are winners of the Division 1, Zone 1 of the Ghana second tier, and they'll be playing in the Ghana Premier League come next season. The atmosphere is unbelievable, and for the fans of Tano Bofokwa, they are incredibly excited, and you could see the atmosphere is unbelievable. Here, the fans are all full with excitement. They say they deserve it, and they have fought for it. This is what it means for Tano Bofokwa. They last played in the Ghana Premier League 2006, 2007. They were relegated. It's been almost 15 years now, and they are excited, and the fans are telling the full story. This is what it means for them to be playing in the Ghana Premier League.
Look at what
have you written on it?
Look at what I've written.
What have you written?
Bofwaba. Mean Bofwa scam. I saw this last 2 years. We went to Blekum. We couldn't qualify. And today I brought it with Vim. And today God has done it. So Bofwaba.
Has Bafo come to stay? Has Bafo come to stay? Has Bafo come to stay?
Come to stay. We are going nowhere. We have anywhere to go. We have come to stay.
You are very happy. You are donning the set of Tano Bofokwa. How excited are you?
Oh, like we told our people in Siane that today we bring the cup to the Siane and we come to Premier, because what that God says is to come true, because this cup is for Bofokwa Tano. I'm the Saint Michael. I'm in Siane. We thank God for this win. Inshallah, the Premier. Thank you, boss.
And that is the moment Tano Bofokwa were crowned champions of Division 1 Zone 1 after defeating 11 Wonders on penalties. They will play in the Ghana Premier League come next season. You have finally qualified Tano Bofokwa to the Ghana Premier League for the first time in 16 years. What's the feeling like?
The feeling, I can't describe the feeling. As of now, I can't describe the feeling. I'm very, very pleased. I'm very, very happy. In a game situation, anything can happen. So we map strategy and contain them. We score goals, but referee disallow the goals. But we know anything can happen. So we rehearsed the penalty on yesterday. So I tell them how to play. So the they stick to the tactical, what I told them. So that's why we come victory.
We've almost come to the end of the Division 1 Championship, and we now have all the 3 team sets: Nations FC, Kwando, Hearts of Lions, and now Bafokwa Tano. What's your assessment of the season?
I think this is one of the best seasons so far we've had. The football's been very good. The teams have been prepared. And as you can see from the quality of the game this afternoon, I think I'm very proud of what the JFA has been able to build and what we're able to do, support them. Very, very proud of them.
In terms of the teams that have qualified, do you expect them to make any good mark in the Ghana Premier League?
Of course, I mean, they bring, you see, for example, if you take Bafokwa, they come from Sunyani, they have the whole of that region behind them. So there's a lot of passion, a lot of spirit, a lot of resources that are going to put behind them. So let's not underestimate any of them at all. I mean, sitting where I was surrounded by people from Sunyani, who are people that I know. They said, "Why are you here? I'm from Sunyani." So I think it makes the league very, very interesting. I'm very, very happy for them. Thank you.
And we were having Tano Bafakwa in the studio this afternoon when they join us for sports today. They are the winners of Zone 1 of the Division 1 League for the 2022-2023 Ghana Division 1 League campaign. Ghana Premier League for the people of Sunyani next season. Let's talk Black Stars now. And on Tuesday, head coach of the senior national team, Chris Hughton, announced a 24-man squad for Ghana's next African Cup of Nations qualifier against Madagascar. Let's take a look at the full squad that was put together by the technical team led by Chris Hughton. And the goalkeepers are Lawrence Atezege, as well as Joseph Jojo Walakot, and then Abdul Nuruddin Manan. For the defenders, Daniel Amathe is in there. There's also a place for Joseph Edu, Gideon Mensah, Patrick Pozo is also in there. And then for the midfielders, we have the likes of Thomas Partey, Mohamed Kudus. There's also a place for Ernest Nyama, who's been called from the under-23 side of the national team to join his colleagues at the senior level of the Black Stars. And Majid Ashimero, Joseph Penso are all in there. For the strikers, it's led by Jordan Ayew and then Andre Ayew, as well as Kamaldeen Suleimana. These are the players, starting from the goalkeepers: Lawrence Tatizigi, Joseph Walakot, Abdul Manaf Nuruddin, and then defenders: Dennis Odoy, Ali Ruseidu makes a return to the team, Gideon Mensah, Patrick Pozo, Daniel Amathe, Joseph Edu, Alex Juku, and Nicholas Opoku. These are the men to man the defense of the Black Stars for that qualifier against Madagascar. Ghana needs a win to qualify to the next to the African Cup of Nations with a game to spare. Midfielders: Thomas Partey, Mohamed Kudus, Majida Shimeru, Abdul Salis Samet, and Admon Ado. Joseph Penso, Osman Bukhari, Kamaldeen Suleimana, and Ernest Nyama. These are the wingers. For the attackers, we have Andre Ayew, we have Kwesi Ochri, we have Jordan Ayew, and Inaki Williams. These are the players who have been called up. Enjoy Sports, we have picked intel that Kamaldeen Suleimana and Ernest Nyama, they will be joining Ibrahim Tanko's under-23 team for the African Cup of Nations under-23 championship that will be happening in Morocco in June. Ghana's game against Madagascar is going to happen on June 18, and the tournament for the under-23 Cup of Nations starts on June 24. So Kamaldeen Suleimana and Ernest Nyama will join the team after Ghana's game against Madagascar. Let's still stay on stories that has to do with Black Stars players, and now specifically to Mohamed Kudus. He's reported to have rejected a contract extension at Ajax Amsterdam. Media reports have suggested that he's seeking a move away from the club, having moved there about 3 seasons ago, and he's seeking for a move to the Premier League, with Manchester United reportedly keen on signing the 22-year-old. Well, former Liverpool striker John Barnes has advised him not to move. He says that it is important he stays at Ajax and develop more.
Well, that is nothing to do with Ghanaian players. That's to do with football generally. But I want to, so therefore you talk about him, and I give this advice to a lot of young players. I use myself as an example. And when I played, you had to show a level of consistency over a period of time before you were transferred. Because of course, when you're transferred, there's going to be a lot of pressure on you. And unless you're able to handle that pressure, or you're able to show that you can do this for a long period of time, not just 5 or 6 matches, I advise every player to learn their trade, to be disciplined, to be humble, to stay at their club for a long period of time to show that they can do that. But football is different now anyway, so it's changed. And we see that all the time where a footballer has one good season and he gets transferred. So I know he has the potential, but you've got Ghanaian players from a way back as Abedi Pele. I remember I played against Abedi Pele when I was at Liverpool in 1987, when Abedi Pele was on trial at Bayern Munich. Of course, remember, you're at Marseille, but he had been going around Europe at different clubs, and he had that potential. And of course, from him, you see so many Ghanaian players. So nothing has really changed, apart from players now move much sooner than they possibly are ready to move. But he definitely has the potential to play at as high a level as any of the other Ghanaian players.
John Barnes there advising Mohamed Kudus to stay at Ajax Amsterdam, maybe for some more couple of years. Tonight is the final of the Europa League. It is Jose Mourinho's AS Roma coming up against serial winners of the competition, Sevilla. Well, Jose Mourinho has been tagged by many as a coach with negative attitude towards football. But he says that he does not care about what his critics think of him, because he's never going to go out there and fight anyone. What matters for him is to make sure he wins. He wants to play the final on Wednesday, which is today, and win it for AS Roma. He was in the Conference League last season and won it for AS Roma. He's back again to the grand finale of a major European competition, and he's seeking to win it against a serial winner of that competition, which is Sevilla. This is how we wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftawa Nabila Abda. We appreciate your company.
Love News in 2022 captured Akunta Mining Limited and other illegal miners polluting the Tano River at Samraboy in the western region. We uncovered irresponsible mining polluting the Tano at various points in communities like Atala, Ohiampenika, and Datano sections of the river. A year after producing the Distraction for Gold documentary, we went back to Samraboy to gauge the situation on the ground. The miners have abandoned posts and left behind deep pits and gullies they created along the Tano River. Ofosua Sare Samuel is the assembly member for the Mumuni electoral area.
After your last documentary, those that they were in operation, they left the community or they left the site. They are no more here or destroying the land.
But our tour of the adjoining villages along the Tano revealed disturbing pictures of direct active mining in the Tano River with residues directed into the Tano. Champagne operators and illegal miners currently sit on the river at various points. These Chinese miners were spotted at Boya, a farming community, driving the excavators and operating the mine themselves, contrary to mining regulations. This is purely illegal. There is no buffer between the Tano River and what they are doing. And if you see in the distance, there is a washing bay sitting at the edge of the tunnel, washing directly into the river. This is purely criminal. Close to the airstrip at Samraboy, these two Chinese nationals were found operating this mine, which seems to be violating the government's buffer zone policy for mining close to major water bodies like the Tano River. They told me the site belongs to Akonta Mining Limited.
People for Akonta people, houses for you go drop me pojo. This side Akonta people. Yeah.
Officials of Akonta Mining will not respond to the claims. The devastated Atala, Ohiampenica and Tano lands fall into the concession of Unipower Mining Company Limited. But even before Unipower could complete its licensing processes to start mining, large parts of its concession have been invaded by illegal miners. David Thompson is Corporate Affairs Manager.
Whilst we acquired it over a period of time, illegal miners started to come onto the concession. We tried to engage them in a cordial manner to try and say, hey gentlemen, this is illegal mining. We didn't really get too far in that negotiation. Therefore, we informed the Mineral Commission. So we engaged the military to remove them. They were removed, and then subsequently they started to come back again.
David speaks of the dangers of mining in the River Tano, calling for urgent steps to control the practice.
Any activity on any of the rivers, straight away it's like, surely people, please, this is going nowhere for you. You're going to make a quick buck. How long is it going to last? But the decimation, the catastrophe that you're leaving behind is shocking. The poisons, the colours of the water, the local indigenous people who wash their clothes from that river, who are drinking and using to cook their food from that river. I mean, it's a travesty, and I really believe that should stop an awful lot of the illegal mining on the rivers immediately.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Atala, Ohiampenica, Samraboy, Western Region.
Well, that's what it is. The EPA, the latest report emerging from Samraboy, I should say, the Tano area, revealing that things are getting even worse, even murkier. It beats my imagination. Yes, we're going to be having a conversation on Galamsey, illegal mining and all of that, but it beats my imagination how we can sit back and allow things to degenerate like they have, and still not be willing to put the measures in place to ensure that we can get things right. It beats my imagination. And I've just been asking myself, a year on, do you remember what happened the last time we were in the Samraboy area, just about a year ago? We're talking about clamping down, we're talking about the changes that would be brought to bear. We're talking about the fact that even some of what we had witnessed on the ground, Erastus Asaredonko at the forefront, the arrowhead, that they were not real. Do you remember Akonta mining? All of that has happened. What were the sanctions? So this morning, as we get into this story about illegal miners who have taken over the River Tano in this renewed onslaught on that water body, and that is an onslaught that is going to affect all of us, every last one of us. You remember the reports as well on how this is impacting the cyanide, the mercury, and others are impacting young people. So the water you're consuming is polluted. The food you're consuming, the land itself is polluted. So the food will contain some of these trace metals. And some of them are, you have a child with all kinds of deformities, blindness, limbs growing on the neck, wild deformities. When will this stop? When will this, yes, I'm going to say this intentionally, when will this nonsense stop? Because if we're not getting a hand on it, what is going to happen? Joining us for this conversation, all-important conversation, Elizabeth Va is Executive Director, Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group. And I'll reiterate again what she says about this. This is environmental terrorism. We also have Erastus Asaredonko, my colleague, and I'm proud to say he is my colleague, a multimedia journalist, and of course, he has been on the ground, and he's going to be showing us what exactly is happening. Elizabeth, Erastus, I don't know whether to say good morning because the subject we're discussing is not good, but morning, maybe morning.
Yeah, morning to you.
Good
morning to you.
Right, so let's leave the good out. I'll start with you, Erastus. You're on the ground. I see you there. What exactly is happening a year on since you went to this location? Paint a picture for us.
Well, so this morning we are on a trail. In fact, we are doing the second part of our documentary. I decided to come to this point in this village for you to see the background. That is the Pra River behind me. And it will shock you to know that this major, vast resource is almost useless. It's almost useless. The people here cannot use this river to do anything. They cannot use it to farm. They say when you pour this on the crops, the next day, the crops are dead. They say that they can't drink from this. Definitely you can't drink from this. Now we are filming, and my camera team is filming a woman who has just fetched some of this polluted Pra River. And I asked her, what are you going to use it for? She says, well, there's no water here to wash, to clean utensils and all that. So alum is a high-priced commodity here. She's going to buy alum. She fetched this polluted water. They will put the alum in the pan of water and will separate the polluted, let me say, the muddy stuff in it, so they can get the clear water settling on top. That is what they use to wash their clothes. That's what they use to clean their utensils. But even that, you and I know that the heavy metal content cannot be removed by a simple alum. So you still have some contaminants in there, so they can't drink it, they can't use it to cook. They only use it to wash clothes and use it to clean their utensils. That's all. You cannot use this to farm.
And even then, Erastus, it may be a bit dangerous to use it to clean utensils, because if you make a mistake and there's any residue in there, I mean, and you cook in there or you eat something in there, ingest it, it could be a problem for you.
And even the alum itself, what quantity can you put in what kind of bucket? These people do not know. Even the alum itself could be a problem for them. So what I'm saying is that look at this vast resource. Look at this vast resource. This is River Pra. And this is almost useless. It flows through the community. It's a farming community. They cannot use this to farm. They cannot use it to do anything. You can't use it for agriculture. It's nothing. It's just flowing. How sick can a country get? And we are seeing the people who are polluting this. We are filming them right now. They are up there. They are along the river. Some are using champagnes. Some are using excavators. They are opening channels into the river, as if there's no law binding. As if people do not have consciences. As if we are sick as a people. I tell you, it's mind blowing as we travel along the Pra River, and the devastation is so huge. Remember, they are also treating this same water to serve the rest of Western region. The amount of alum and polymers they have to pour into this to be able to treat it and send it across homes for people to use. Your guess is as good as mine. And so we are seeing the devastation from 2022 when we went to film the Tano River. We went to the Ankobra and all that. We went back, and currently it's more polluted than when we went in 2022. I can tell you that. I can confirm that.
What makes you think, what Erastus makes you think it is more polluted? Is it just by what you see I know in the past you've had scientists gauge the turbidity levels and they have all of these other statistics, but is it just based on what you see? Because I think a few weeks or months ago, you compared from last year, I think a few months back, to this one. I also saw our own friend Kafui Day do same. And you can see stark differences in some of the water for the worse. How do you analyze it? How do you determine that it's getting worse?
So let me give you an example. Aside the turbidity values I'm getting from the Ghana Water Resources Commission, which is in the thousands.
Thousands?
They are way above what we got in 2021, February. So for PRA, I wish I could pull that data right now and tell you for PRA, but I can tell you that we are running in the area of 9,000 and 8,000 NTU. Areas that used to be 1,500. So maybe after the show, we are getting the bigger picture for you, don't worry. We are cooking the food now. So very soon it will be ready for you to watch on your screens on Joy and the multimedia channels. And I tell you that the situation is worse. And I'm also saying this based on our travels. We are seeing, for example, the Ankobra used not to have Shamfan operators sitting directly on it when we went in 2022. But now, as we speak, we've gone on the Ankobra from the estuary, Axim, all the way to Dominase, Banso, Douale, Wolenzo, and all those towns. You see Shamfan operators sitting directly on the river. You see people washing gold directly into the Ankobra River. So that situation used not to be there. And that is why the river is looking more dirtier than we found it in 2022.
The people in the community, Rastus, when they interact with you, when you speak to them, how do they feel? They have this water body, a resource that just a few decades ago they could use for so many things. Barring the consequences, health and otherwise, even the beauty of the area has been taken away. What do they share with you when you talk to them?
Well, I can tell you that they are simply helpless. I wish I could go up there. The signal is not too good up there, so if I move, you won't be able to get us. But they are simply helpless. We have some elders sitting in a building up here, just by the river, and that is what they are telling us. They say that now you cannot farm with it. The whole community where we are standing, for the sake of security, I can't tell you where we are, but the whole community rely on somebody's poultry farm, which is about a walking distance from here. They have dug a borehole for their use because they cannot use this river. And that is what the whole community does. They go to beg this poultry farmer, and he gives them access to the borehole, and they get water to drink. Aside that, there's no water to drink in this community. There's no borehole in this community. So they feel helpless. They were telling me that now you can't use it to farm. This is a major river that you could just farm over there in those bushes over there, and then you fetch this water, use it to spray your crops, use it to water your crops and all that, do proper agriculture and get food to eat. Now this is useless. You can't use it for anything. If you eat fish from this polluted river, from what we are learning from scientists, you will have problems. The EPA itself says they found mercury levels in the gills and bones of fishes in polluted waters of the Tano. If you're eating fish from this, you have problems, and the people, they know. And so they feel helpless as they tell me that there's nothing they can do except to say government should go on the river and drive the illegal miners away, hoping that if that is done, maybe the river can revive itself and they can use it again.
Hold for me.
That is the problem.
Do hold for me. I'm hoping, maybe against hope, but still hoping anyway that maybe the internet connectivity will allow you to have some of these people on air so we just hear from the horse's own mouth. But just hold for me. Let me engage Elizabeth Va as well, Executive Director, Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group. You've called this environmental terrorism. It's nothing short of that. But how disappointed are you? How do you feel that we've been having these conversations over all this period, and in fact, the situation is only getting worse, far worse? You heard him. Look at the measurements we're getting. Crazy. I don't know what we're doing to ourselves, Elizabeth, but how bad is it that while we keep having these conversations on huge platforms like ours, the situation only keeps getting worse? Elizabeth.
Good morning. I am sitting thousands of miles away, and it just looking at that river and the helplessness that Erastus describes, and I'm seeing myself as the little girl growing along Ezule and just seeing the difference between what I enjoyed and what these people in these communities now have to endure. And he said, Erastus, God bless you for the great work you're doing. He said, how sick can a country be? How sick can a people be? We keep talking about this every time we say the same things. You see, the people come back, the saboteurs get back on the river because, of course, there is no punishment. Look at Akunta mining. I mean, look at what they did a year ago. And what was the punishment? They've been rewarded with a huge concession in the same place where they were doing what they were doing illegally. And what is the difference between what they're doing now with a concession and what they were doing illegally? No difference. So why would all the other small people bother when they know that it's not going anywhere? There's probably a lineup for people waiting for the gold to be drawn out of these rivers through whatever method so that they can buy it and take it to wherever. So how do you expect this to stop when all the incentives that must be there for it to thrive are going at full tilt? There's not going to be any difference. And I feel so sad. If I am as helpless as I find myself here, you can imagine that woman, that young woman with 3, 4, 5 children in that little village who cannot use this water, and they have to buy sachet water to drink. They have to buy all these chemicals to treat the water to be able to use it. And they cannot even tell. It doesn't remove much. Whatever it is that they're spending their money on the alum, it doesn't remove the real problem. It just changes it removes the clay from it. But the cyanide, the mercury, it's all in whatever is left of that water that they're using. This is genocide that we are watching happen at that level.
I just want us to focus a bit on that word you just used. This is genocide at that level. That is, I don't know, do you still want to stick to that? Because in the UN system, in the international system, when genocide is used, we're talking Auschwitz, Adolf Hitler and stuff. We're talking about crazy things that have happened in different jurisdictions, Pinochet, among others. You're using the word genocide to refer to what we're facing.
Look, these rivers run hundreds of miles down between Pra, Ofen, and Cobra Tano. Almost more than 1,000 miles along those rivers together. And there are communities dotted along all these lines. You know what happens when they destroy the Tano at Samraboy? It's going all the way down to the Join Lagoon along the Ghana-Cote d'Ivoire border. There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people living all along those rivers and beyond. And these people are being exposed to all these chemicals, directly and indirectly. And what happens when they get these chemicals get into people's systems? Isn't it that don't they die? And so what are we watching happen? It's not just one day of people sending people to the gas chamber. This is a gradual process of eliminating people. And I feel sorry for my people in those communities. The Nzema, the Wasa, the Awoyin. Look, we are gradually just eliminating these people. But on a level, on a scale that we don't realize it. And I don't know if it's intentional or it's just the way things are. How can we be this helpless in our own country? This is war happening on our soil, on our land, and we just seem so helpless. And if the country is helpless, imagine the young woman down there, because I picture it, I lived it. That river Menstrual, we used to fetch it in the morning before we go to school. We'll go fetch it and then use it for all the stuff we need to do before we run off to school. After school, we run back into the river and we are swimming and playing and all of that. On the weekends, we go and gather shellfish. We lived on this river. This is how these people used to live on this river that we have destroyed and are gradually destroying them too.
The commitment of leadership then, because we have known that this problem has existed. Promise upon promise has been made on the back of dealing with Galamsey. We've seen recent incidents that have pointed to the fact that the situation is exacerbating, in simple terms. And what do we see? We have government officials come out and say, the fight against Galamsey is on. We are still, doing the best possible. Look, to put it bluntly, I was saying this morning, Galamsey has caught us like a bad child, put us on the laps, and is giving us a spanking. It is spanking us black and blue. What has happened? I mean, when you look at leadership, for me, my perspective, before I take yours, I look at the Professor Frimpong Boateng saga, the report, and everything that came through from there. And even the approach of government, this is just someone on a frolic of his own. This is a figment of his imagination. The people who are cited in there, the bigwigs in this ruling administration who are cited, what has happened to them? Same like with Akunta Mining and Chairman Wuntumi, chairman of the New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region. So focusing on leadership, what do you see? Are we even fighting Galamsey, or is Galamsey rather fighting us?
We are not fighting. We're not fighting anything. The leadership has shown that they don't care. From the report you've just cited, nothing is going to happen out of it. The Abeku issue in the East District, where the police were begging for their lives, nothing is going to happen to it. We had excavators missing in Lambela District. Nothing's happened to anything. Chairman Wuntumi, Tano Nimre Forest, nothing. We have our sister organization, Eco-Conscious Citizens, and other groups are in court right now, trying to force the government of Ghana to do something with the violations that Chairman Wuntumi's company did. And why do people have to go to court to get the IGP and the people who must enforce the laws of the country to act? Nothing is going to come out of it. So we are showing to ourselves and to everybody that is looking on that we are not interested in pursuing any of this. The president continues to talk about evidence. And this report by the person that you put in charge of an interministerial committee, you had it for 2 years, and nobody bothered to do anything about it. And so who are we fooling? And I've also tried to look at even the upcoming, those waiting in the wings to come take over. And I don't see any strong stance in terms of what do we do with this mess? So many of these people, many Ghanaians who really care about what is going on, are all just helplessly looking on because leadership has no desire to do anything about this. This happened, we scream about it a few days, and then it's business as usual. If this is disappointing, I don't know what name to even give it.
Elizabeth, what then can we do? Right before I go back to Erastus, what then can we do? I mean, look at the picture that Erastus paints. The people in that catchment area feel helpless, hopeless. There's nothing they can do on their own to stop the menace. But we've entrusted power into the hands of certain individuals to be able to do that. That is not being done. But what do we do as a people? If our leaders have failed, do we throw our hands up in the air and say, well, because guess what? They enjoy the largesse of the state. A lot of them may engage in whatever deals they do and live well. They will enjoy the ex gratia. They can travel abroad. They can do other things. But you and I will have to face the consequences here. We can't afford to let leadership grow slack on this. What then do we do, Elizabeth, as far as leadership is concerned? What do we do?
What do we do? Right now, I've come across there's a section 3.2 of the Environmental Protection Regulation 2022, where they are even they're removing the fact that you may not mine on an area that is considered globally significant. They have removed that clause so that if even forests like Atiwa Forest, they can have the leeway to go mine, because once they say, well, our law says you can mine in a globally significant area, then you can. I mean, so leadership has no desire to do much, really, the current crop of leaders that we have. In the various communities, we have youth who have stood up. Some have taken their chiefs and then the Minerals Commission and other organizations to court, because they want the licenses that have been given to people to come and mine in the area to be revoked. I can speak of Atronsu. And you can see the way that even the legal system and everything else is treating these guys who are trying to be on the right side of history. It permeates so much that you wonder where is it going? How is it going to end? When will it end? What can we do? I think we have to continue those communities. I keep going back to them. Summer Boy have people who are in different places who should be able to stand up and protect the people in those communities. Should we bring this government or those people to court outside of even Ghana? We have Ghana Bar Association. Can they help? Can people do some of these things pro bono so that we can put as many people as we can before the legal processes? Because it gets quite expensive, and you get to a point where you feel like, how is this? Where is it all headed? I think we need to help ourselves as a people, help those communities, those of us from there. I know my community, you cannot go and mine there. You cannot. So in my own little way, I'm talking to the people in my community to know, even if platinum, whatever is found in the River Menstrual, nobody should go mine it. I think we should take that up as a personal project from those communities. And the rest of Ghana, don't leave it to those who are from those communities alone. And this is where I commend the likes of Ula, Sewa, and Darrell, and the rest of the people. They may not necessarily be from those areas, but they are standing firm to help us fight for our communities. Because you can't imagine what those people in those communities are feeling. The helplessness alone. It's like you don't have a country. You don't have anybody to stand up for you, and you are condemned to this life that is going to kill you.
We can't sit aloof. Erastus, if you can hear me, whereabouts are you now? Where do you find yourself now? And what is the picture from where you currently are? Do we have Erastus with us?
Yeah, I have moved a step further from the community to the community. So I can say that from where we are, we can get good signal. I have a gentleman here, and just let me show you how the community looks like this morning. So you can see what the people here do. That man is preparing a cane basket over there, and these materials they got from around the river. With me here is somebody who lives here within the community.
Oh, first thing, my father who are building, Yako cry, you can yes, this has been my year. Now, on file among women and Hanasi. Why did you possess your two next? Nihala, sister, Yakun, I'm a young witch and one more hand, the someone.
So he's telling me that this river, they used to drink it. You can fetch some and drink. Now you can't drink it. He says that they are fishermen. And you can see their canoes by the riverside over there. Now they go to the river, they get nothing. And so they want us to help them. Multimedia is really a dofu. I mean, see, a multimedia dofu.
You will spray that, you took the year. But one man, what you go crown what don't why did
now alumni am the tomb more the tomb say bedding na motimia e dia eden
okay I know malutuma by family tala na wagene na the tinu akadase ana nsunu wagene kakra ya alam so lutuma untum no ya pipe no so ahowol sa do kwa bokoko prejantion won sa no mafamu ku binfi kufu mafon wo be ana won ho afọ so one more here, yes, someone. You soon was saying.
Now, I have one essential.
Galamsey, if we are.
Or more fine.
If you more, if you more, if you so well, go look at plus, we have way. It's near why that people to Massa. Sir, I had out Unima Kona come on, come catch on. What could the little we.
So he's telling me that now, although they can use it to spray the farm sometimes, but you can't drink it. They put the alum into the water just to let the mud settle at the base of it. But when you use the alum, you can't drink that water, and you can't use it to cook. So,
Massa, Granny would tumulate. So, what alum do Gumana, Agina, Utumulate, but won't to
So he says that you can use it to bath when you put in the alum, but you cannot use it. You cannot drink it. You cannot use it to cook. And I saw some children swimming in the dirty, polluted water. I was shocked, and they tell me that even the children, when they swim like that, they get skin rashes and other things. The other thing he was telling me is that as we speak, he can use a boat to show me where they are mining on the river using champagne. And we flew the drone, we've seen it. It's just a few meters from where we are standing. They are sitting on it as we speak, and they are polluting the river from down up. And when they do it, it's like there is no law. Like you see them doing it openly. Like there's no law banning whatever they are doing, as if it's almost legal. And so it baffles us when on our trail, we've passed through Pra, we've passed through Tano, we've seen, yesterday we were at a town where we filmed the Butre River. All of these rivers are almost useless. Almost useless. And it is shocking that such a fire is sitting on the mountain and nobody is running. It's life as usual. Everybody goes about their duty as if nothing is happening. If it were to be any serious country, I think by now there will be a state of emergency, because the lifeblood of this earth in our country is gone. Ankobra, Tano, Butre, Bonsa, everything is polluted.
Erastus,
you can't use it.
You know, the interesting thing, the earth is sort of, it's sort of modeled on who we are. The composition of a human being, about 70% of your body is water. Same with the earth. And if we pollute our water bodies this way, God forbid, I don't know what our country is going to look like in the coming months, years, decades. But in terms of health consequences, and that is a crucial angle to the conversation, can you find out from these people what the health consequences have been in terms of whether any of them, whether it is land that has got polluted through cyanide, mercury, and all of that? Have there been any health consequences for the community?
Well, we have seen some conditions. That is the project that we are working on currently. We are doing some testing as well. And so we'll get a broader sense of the health impacts of illegal mining. But let me ask him,
rashes bi two about your promo. One will go to kiss a quay. Cheap pump on one yakasha one year. This is some from Mongolian person from a land in the Dava, who will obra walk, which is young or Morocco. Because if you are wild, why did he? We have say, Massa, I don't want so the island look now for us. I have good. And easy, if one more, let them come safe from one stop one. What's about could have away at the Yala? Oyagma, and I'm here across stop one.
Well, so he's telling me that when the children swim in the Pratt River, they get skin rashes. He says the rashes start from your stomach and then it gets all over your body. And so they've warned the children not to swim in the river. But in the morning, we saw 2 children swimming in there at the moment. He's telling me that they have to walk over to where I was telling you that borehole belongs to a poultry farmer. That is where they are able to get some water to drink. And he's again pointing to where we flew the drone and saw the champagne operating in the river just a few meters from here. And he says that they are working. And who are they? That's the question he's asking. Who are they to go and stop them from polluting the river? And I tell you, it's true. Yesterday, when we went to the Butre River and we approached, in fact, we confronted some of the champagne operators. One of them got angry. He said he's going to smash our camera. And, well...
a champagne operator got angry and threatened to smash your camera.
Yes, he says that he has rights and that he has not allowed us to film him. And I was asking him that, so you feel you have rights, but you are polluting an entire major river like the Butre, but the people who depend on it don't have rights. And so I called in my reinforcement and they ran into the bush. But you see, that is the brazen nature of the people who are polluting the river bodies. And so to answer your question again, the health effects on our trail, we have filmed a lot. We have spoken to experts. We have seen a lot. And when this documentary is ready, definitely the multimedia brands will fill you in on the health effects of this.
Hold for me, Erastus. I'll come to you one more time. Maybe you can reposition yourself. I'll come to you for the final time so we conclude the conversation. Elizabeth, having followed the discussion, so health effects are real. The impunity is also real. You imagine this Galamsey, likely covered up in mud and grime, telling our reporter, in fact, my colleague, that, get out of my face. You have no right to be here. That person feels he has the right to pollute a source of water that serves many millions. Where do we go from here?
Well, that Galamsey is strong and adamant because he knows what he's standing on. Yes, only friend is your bebo a year only. Yeah, 99 CDB. So, who are who are the clients of these people? Who supplies them the champagnes? And who gives them those places to go and sit on the river and mine? We've had communities where the youth have stood up to try and get to these people, and before you even reach it, they've been notified and they are gone. So they have links, and they have links within the leadership of those communities. Say either it's the chief, it's the police, it's the district assembly. They have big people behind them, and that is what makes them that brave, and that they can stand up to you like that. But those people who are gradually feeding these guys to make them this bold, I hope eventually they turn on them. But until then, this destruction continues. These communities continue to be this helpless. And I can't keep my mind around in terms of what we need to do next. The few that have stood up and are pressing through the courts, through demonstrations and all of that, they are being, what is the word? They are being, they're being frustrated. Our legal system is frustrating these guys. The guys I mentioned in Akronsu, recently, they were told at court, they were told that they hadn't served the attorney general, whatever their rate was, and so they were going to be they were going to be punished, a penalty of 4,000 Ghana cedis. And then you had these mine companies and these Galamsey promoters coming to them and saying, "Munisika must be prosecuted bibi court." I mean, this is how the system is emboldening those people who are destroying our country. We need to do something about it. The leadership, left to me alone, alluvial mining in Ghana should be banned completely.
I agree with you. I feel we should end it completely for a long time and only come back, if ever, when we have a system in place. I mean, ask yourself, Elizabeth, South Africa has a lot of gold. A whole lot of it. They are not facing this problem. They have a system that works. It's said that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And even if you're a fool, learn from the mistakes of others. Learn more from the mistakes of others. Why can't we simply do that? Best practices.
The will is not there. You have to have the will to make something happen. If what's his name, me still is in the circles of this government, people who need to be behind bars are walking the corridors of power. There is no interest there. So it's back to us. And whoever we are going to elect next, we need to find out what is their standing on this. And I'm leaving that to you, the media. You know, let's not make it like this party, that party, whatever. Let's get from people where they stand on some of these critical issues. Because this Galamsey menace it's not an inconvenience anymore. It's existential. And we are still where we are several years now. But when there are countries in Southern Africa that have minerals. And because they make good money from their mineral resource, I don't think their people are doing this kind of destructive things that we do. We need to, in addition to that, look at how much we get, even formally, from these resources. Because we give it out, and then we rather running around scraping every piece of land to try and make people get something. The lands minister keeps quoting how much money small-scale mining is bringing us. I mean, what kind of math is this that doesn't look at both sides of the coin? You have to look at the ledger, your debit and your credits. You may be making some money from the gold, but look at the cost to the environment, to the country.
Elizabeth,
nobody seems to be doing that math.
Elizabeth, can we even quantify the damage that has been done? Let's even pick just one of our water bodies. Let's pick the Tano. Can we even quantify in monetary terms how much it will cost us in terms of health and its ramifications on our health system, in terms of the environment? Can we even quantify that? I don't think our leaders are grasping the enormity of the problem.
They are not. And recently, I started a small campaign to try to get. I want to know what the Ivorian government thinks of this, because we are causing this mess. Tano starts from Mosiaso in the Samrabo area, and we pollute it all the way to there. They may also have some illegal mining issue. But we are the cause of the pollution of the Tano that is causing problems for everybody downstream.
Elizabeth, I'll confirm this for you. I'll confirm this, pardon the interjection. Just a few months ago, in fact, the Ivory Coast or Côte d'Ivoire cited us for this. In fact, neighboring countries have complained that on the back of our illegal mining practices, we are polluting their water bodies, including the Ivory Coast. So it's not an if situation. It is happening, and they've actually brought it to bear.
Well, then they have to be loud. They have to be louder. I'm looking for people coming together internationally to maybe take Ghana to the Court of Justice or something for environmental degradation of this water that serves the two countries. I think they have to go beyond just diplomatic letters, because we need a stronger hand to force people in leadership to act. These Galamseyers, those sitting on champagnes, they are not stronger than Ghana. So something is happening that is not making the Ghanaian authorities have that authority, that desire to get rid of this. And we need some things. We need the West African region to come up and say, no, you cannot destroy this land for all of us. Something has to happen beyond what the communities are doing. Look, there are people in the communities that, like Erastus said, they are helpless. They don't want this. But where can they go? The police won't do anything. The DCE won't do anything. Nothing. And what can they do? What can a poor woman with kids do? Those kids in that river. Kids are kids. They will go swim it. But look at how we are destroying their future. Right?
I mean, something as basic that children would love to do, swim in a river body close to them, has become hazardous because of recklessness, mismanagement, misleadership. I'll come to you for your final thoughts. Let me see whether I can engage Erastus for one last bout, one last spell, before we knock off on this conversation. Erastus, if you can hear me, I don't know where you find yourself now, but what is the final bit that you would like to share with us? And maybe you can add your final sentiments as we wrap on this conversation.
Well, so we are still within the community, and we're still close to the Pra River, which is flowing in front of me right here. What I can say is that on our trail, we found out that as much as we will want to also hold leaders accountable, I can tell you that what we found also links the regulatory bodies at the local level to this mess. We have evidence, and we have people who are giving us evidence to the effect that some officials of EPA and Minerals Commission are behind us.
You are telling me officials of... No, Erastus, hold on. Let's take this slowly. Give me the food slowly. You are telling me that Environmental Protection Agency officers are themselves embroiled in this?
We've gone to about 2 illegal mining sites polluting the Pra River at the moment. And I'm giving you real time. In real time, they are polluting the Pra River at the moment. And they are telling us that, well, we've spoken to the EPA. And indeed, I tend to believe them because the mining sites are in areas that will never go unnoticed. And we have the EPA, we have the Minerals Commission that are supposed to certify these areas before they mine. They tell us that, well, we have not been able to secure the digging permit, but there's a Minerals Commission official who has said that we can mine and he will supervise us. That is an illegality. That is criminal. But you have, in some situations, these officials belonging to the regulatory bodies keeping a blind eye, closing one eye, and allowing them to do what they are doing. In fact, the chamfans that they are operating is within the community. The district chief executives, the municipal chief executives know about it. The police in the area know about it. This is crime being committed right in front of the eyes of law enforcement agencies. But they turn a blind eye. In one particular case, you have a barrier, a police barrier. And just behind the barrier, along the river, you see people with champagne over there polluting the river. This is criminal. But then, nothing is happening. And so I think that as a people, we have seen some youth in community, just like we have Elizabeth talking about. Some youth in certain communities have taken it upon themselves to fight the system. But what do they get? Some of them have been arrested for nothing, just because they say, we won't allow this to go on. So it beats my imagination that people are now benefiting. They want to make money in their pockets rather than protect the very resource that keeps us alive to this moment. And I think that enough of the rhetoric. We've been talking too much. Those in charge of fighting this illegal mining thing have always been talking, and the talk is too much. It's time for action. There is fire on the mountain. We should be seen to be running helter-skelter at the moment, pumping some adrenaline and trying to keep the fire under control. Unfortunately, we are sitting and watching it burn, the very existence of Ghanaians. And I think we should do something about it.
And I wholly agree with you, Erastus Asaridonko. Once more, I doff my imaginary hat to you. Thank you for going into the trenches and doing the work for us, bringing to bear what ordinarily we wouldn't have known. Erastus Asaridonko is my colleague with Love 99.5 FM, and he does the rounds to ensure that we get all the filler. Thank you, Erastus, and keep doing the good work. Right before I wrap with you, Elizabeth, there are some comments that have come through. Haj Apollo says, at this moment, it's a shame to call oneself a Ghanaian. Francis Enyan says, the whole country is just helpless because of greed from top to bottom. Amponsem, I'm trying to filter. This government is a shame to our democracy. A government that when the rank and file of the people are caught in serious Galamsey, they still need evidence. Fredani says, the citizens of Ghana are hungry because of some people's greed. I'm watching you live from Dabwase. Some of the comments are not too friendly, so I'll not take them. I mean, you don't need to go too low with insults and all of that. This one says, Kofi Asante team, let me take it. It says, please give the fighting job to this lady. He's referring to Elizabeth Va, and let's see what she can offer. Talk is cheap. That's what you say. But you see, it's not about talk being cheap. If someone shares an opinion on a matter as dire as this one, it's not even about the person wanting to... She's an environmental activist, yes, but it's not even about her wanting to take up any position. It's about what must be done. And those who have taken up those positions, what they ought to be doing. Responses like this, Kofi, are shameful. And I'll say it to you. I don't mince words. They are shameful. It's not about what the person can do. Does the person know? In some cases, you have someone who knows what has to be done and someone who can actually do what has to be done. Get that. And let's stop belittling the problem. Let's take some other comments that are coming through. This one says, it's a pretty long and winding one, so I'll move away. But this final one, South Africans don't do politics with their minds. Look, they have the zamazamas, and I know, which in Ghana is called Galamsey. But the opposition parties don't support them, and they say they'll bring them back when they come to power. Victor says, the MPP is a disaster and a cancer to Ghana. Elizabeth, as we wrap on this conversation, the stark contrast. President Akufo-Addo in 2017, early 2017, on the back of a campaign that the media started. No one forced him to say this. He said he would put his presidency on the line in tackling illegal mining. We've all seen from excavators flying to different places to the latest Frimpong Boateng report. We've seen what has happened. What is curious, I don't know whether he still is, but as of last year, when I participated in that climate engagement in the Netherlands, our president was chair of the Climate Vulnerable Forum. Over 50 countries, Latin America, Africa, and all of that. Of course, this has a direct reflection on our water bodies, our environment, and pollution. What would be your message to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo this morning, Elizabeth? That's how I want us to end the conversation.
Well, I think there's nothing I'll tell the president that he doesn't already know or he hasn't heard. If only he would act. The current constitution of Ghana gives the president of Ghana so much power to demand accountability from the people he has put in place, because we know, Mr. President, that you can't be everywhere. And in fact, I feel sad for your job, because it's a big burden that you have. But that is why the Constitution of Ghana has given you the power to hire fire, to make sure that your words match your actions. Words are so nice. You speak so well. You when it comes to language and delivery, I give that to you. But sir, if it continually goes out without action, it becomes just words. And some of us have started tuning you out. So you need to do something. This Galamsey, this mining problem that we have in this country is an existential threat. Some of the communities right now are they are on the verge of collapse. We are seeing children being born with deformities. You want to really let it be said that during your time, this moved from just being in the textbooks to actually happening on the ground in Ghana? You have to set the example with Chairman Wontumi and all those people around you, your DCEs who are themselves contractors on the ground. The Minerals Commission, you go to their website right now, and almost every community in the southern part of Ghana, and most also in some parts of the northern region, have been partitioned out and given out to people. People who have no track record to show that when they mine ABC, they reclaim it. Alluvial mining in Ghana right now has become more of a deficit rather than a profit. So let's put a stop to it and stand your ground, man. You've got the power, use it, and stop going to declassify forest reserves and signing instruments that say that a globally significant resource can be mined. I mean, you haven't even been able to get a handle on what is affecting us right now, and you want to go and touch globally significant reserves and resources. You are supposed to be in charge of some climate change, whatever. Look, when it comes to the emissions and stuff, let the white people, let the Western world deal with it. We are talking about bread and butter. Rivers that are polluted, it is worse than somebody taking a plane and therefore causing CO2 emissions. Focus. What you are sitting on is a bombshell that is going to destroy your legacy and this country. So come down home, put your head in the game, and do something. And you said to just talk to the president, but our chiefs too. Ghana National House of Chiefs, really? People are called Okonje Abuo, or Konfurobuo, or Yeden, and your communities are being destroyed. You are sitting there. This is not, now we don't go to war with machetes and stuff. Now the war has been brought to your doorstep. Your communities are being decimated. And you're sitting there in your regalia being Okonfurobuo or Okonje. You have a fight on your hand. Please, stand up, reclaim your position in your communities.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And maybe just it's not a laughing note, but I'm laughing about it because when you look at the front page of the Daily Guide this morning, do you know what you'd see? On the far right corner, you would see Green Ghana Day. Let's go planting. 10 million trees on June the 9th, 2023. Theme, our forests, our health. 9 days more. And pictured there, a very smiling Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, of course, in front. Right behind him, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the Vice President, also smiling. And then the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, also smiling in his smock. Abu Jinapo. They're all smiling. We're planting trees. We're helping our environment. Maybe they've not seen what we see. Elizabeth, thank you for joining the conversation. Elizabeth Va is Executive Director, Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group. Also on this beat, we spoke to my colleague. I nearly called him my learned colleague, though he's not well-versed in the law, but someone who is really out there in the trenches. I'm proud of that gentleman, Erastus Asare-Donko, who's been exposing the rot going on, the environmental carnage we are sowing. We're sowing a seed. If we sow the wind, we'll reap the whirlwind, as the Bible says. My name is Benjamin Akakwa, and it's just frustrating sometimes sitting here and having these conversations. Sometimes I wish I didn't have to have them. I get frustrated too. Same situation. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about another aspect where we're failing as a country. It's all about Ghana's decaying stadia. We've been talking about this is 98% complete. That is 95% complete. They forget that we can go to these places. Anyway, my colleague Samuel Kojo-Brace has been highlighting how the Esipong Stadium has been left to practically rot due to bad management of that facility. That conversation is up next on the AM show. Do stay.
Some stadia across the country were renovated in 2021 and at various stages of completion as follows. Accra Sports Stadium, 98%, Phase 1 of Baba Yara Stadium, 98%, Esipong Stadium, 90% complete, Cape Coast Stadium, 60%.
That was Ghana's Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, presenting the 2021 budget statement on the floor of Parliament. After his pronouncement, many Ghanaians, especially those in the western region who knew the state of the stadium, became angry. One of them is the Member of Parliament for the Eskado-Keten constituency, Joe Gate.
I write with regard to the above. The Finance Minister, in the budget statement delivered on Wednesday, 17th November 2021, stated that rehabilitation works on the Esipong Stadium is 90% complete. My checks reveal otherwise. As Member of Parliament for the area, I would be grateful if you could furnish me with the update of the said project, which is located in my constituency. Furthermore, if the information given is accurate, please furnish the Finance Minister with the accurate information to enable him advise himself accordingly. The project is of great interest to me and my constituents. Counting on your usual cooperation, respectfully yours, Joe Gate.
2 years after the pronouncement, I have come here today to see if anything has changed. What I see is nothing more than an eyesore. Outside, I noticed that some of the ceilings had completely been ripped off. The few pieces of wood and patches of ceiling that remain are falling off. The state of the restrooms is deteriorating. Nothing appeared to indicate a well-maintained stadium. To put it simply, the entire place is in shambles.
When you come here, what you see are worn-out chairs with metals showing. It's a danger for people to be here in its current state. The question you ask yourself is, where did we go wrong for such a national infrastructure to be left to rot to this level?
Stephen Kwame Yeboah is a sports journalist here in the Western region.
We hosted the tournament in 2008, and from 2009 to 2019, that was when the then sports minister, Honorable Isaac Esiama, came to Sekondi to do inspection of the facility.
He says the former sports minister, Isaac Esiama, when he visited the stadium, was also shocked at the extent of wreckage and neglect. Like many footballing and sports enthusiasts who have been at the stadium, Honorable Isaac Esiama joined chorus of voices calling for the renovation of the stadium.
He even reiterated that they have a budget allocation for the renovation work, and it was going to be done in phases. So we were all of the assurance that, as he said, that the facility was built by the MPP government and they went to opposition and they are back. Once they are back in power, he will make sure that the facility is fixed. And from 2019 to 2021, that was November 2021, that was when the finance minister said that the renovation works at the secondary sports stadium was 90% complete. And to some of us, it came as a surprise because it's been a place that we visit regularly to find out what was really going on. And I remember the MP for Escado even came up to challenge them that, to his knowledge, he thinks that the facility is not up to 90%.
To Stephen Kwame Yeboah, it seems no one cares about the state of the secondary sports stadium, Isipon.
Sometimes I feel like we have big men in the region. We have MPs which, to the best of my knowledge, they are very influential in government. We have chiefs here. But it seems nobody cares about what is really happening to this particular facility here at the secondary sports stadium. And sometimes when it's like you begin to push too much, it's like you want to, cry more than they bereave, because we have people who have been put in position to make sure that things works. But at the end of the day, it seems nobody cares.
He reveals that aside the roofing, nothing has happened since the then sports minister, Isaac Esiama, visited the facility.
Apart from the roofing, that I've seen that they started with the blasting. Apart from that, I've not seen any major works going on. That is from my personal observation. Apart from the roofing that I've seen that they've started working on it. Apart from that, they've not done anything.
He wants the leaders of the region to do better in advocating for the stadium to be rehabilitated.
It seems, like I said, we have leaders, we have chiefs here, we have big politicians here, which for me I know they are very influential in the MPP government, but it seems they are all not perturbed with what is really happening to this facility.
Benjamin Abwaji is also a sports journalist with Sky Power FM in Takrady. He has also been investigating why nothing seemed to be happening here.
Oh, what they told me was that the contractor left. I went there, I think, last 3 weeks or so. The contractor left because money was not coming. You get that? Yes, money was not coming, and if money is not coming, I think he uses materials and stuff for the project. And you and I know when you are going in for sea, sun, and those kind of things, it's sums of money. And if the money is not coming as it is, you can't spend whilst it's not coming.
He believes the bad performance of secondary Takoradi-based clubs like 11 Wise and Azakes in the Premier League could also be the reason the stadium has not been renovated.
You ask yourself, sir, okay, so if the government renovates it, what will it be used for? Because now in Western region, the teams that can conjure that numbers to the stadium, because now if you rent a Sipon Sports Stadium, NSA will not charge you not less than, let's say, 2,000. So you ask yourself, can this Division 1 teams pay 2,000? You see that? Can they pay 2,000 for the stadium? If they can't, nothing motivates the government to, because after motivating it, we have to maintain the stadium. I am not saying that they shouldn't do, they can do another activities there, but the main purpose of a Sipon Sports Stadium is to use it for football or footballing activities.
A functioning sports stadium in Sipon brings patrons to businesses in this area. Residents want government to act to restore the stadium to its former glory. John is a resident of Sipon.
This stadium, when I came here, they said those days it was a very active stadium that they normally travel from some countries in Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, to come and play football matches over here. But of late, you see that it's in a very deplorable state, and then nothing seems to be happening over here. So I'll say right now, the whole system, everything over here is dead. That's what I see. So I don't know what actually authorities are doing about it anyway.
Over the past 6 months, have you seen something happening here?
Actually, no. I come here always. I haven't seen anything happening here. Yeah.
As a Ghanaian, what would you tell government about this?
Actually, for government issue, I don't know. But you could see the recent World Cup that is going on in Qatar. You could see they have stadium. You see, stadium and then this kind of establishment, they are, I would say, they can generate revenue for the government. And then if the government can take the pain to renovate this stadium, not only that will it boost our Premier League. You see, there will be matches that will be held over here, will be played over here, and then the GFA, the government, they will generate revenue from this. And then businesses will be established around this stadium. This is a sports over here. I think this is the only sport around the area here. And you could see that apart from this sport, there's no other sport around. And then, so that's why I said earlier on that the whole system, the whole place is a dead end. And then nothing seems to be happening around this area. So if this stadium is being renovated, and then it will even attract business or entrepreneurs to establish businesses around, because when match is ongoing over here, you will see that people would like to come around, have fun, and then so it's not only going to bring in entrepreneurs, but actually to generate revenue for the government and then maybe the GFA and then some other authorities. So it's good. They have to do something about it. We cannot just leave something so huge like this, just like that. We have to do something about it, yeah.
The claims by the finance minister that 90% of repair works have been completed are clearly not factual. The renovation works have been abandoned and very little is being done to restore the stadium to its former glory. For Joy News, Samuel Kojo Brace, Sipon.
Ghana, our motherland, the Sipon Stadium, and all its glory, looking like some rust bucket. Let's get on the lines, interact with a few people on this matter. We'll speak to the regional minister. We'll speak to major stakeholders. We have Wilson Arthur with Sky Power who joins the conversation. Wilson, a very good morning to you. We'll try to reconnect with Wilson. He's actually with Sky FC, the football entity, and he'll be sharing with us what exactly the situation is from that end. We'll try to get him back on the connection. But I just want to ask myself, or all of you this morning, when we contemplate these things that are said, promises that are made, and when dust is literally thrown in our eyes, just feast your eyes on what you see. Chairs broken, left to rot, exposed to the elements. We have the skeleton there. Why not do something with it? People were coming from Côte d'Ivoire to patronize this facility. Now, all the resources, your money, my money, that have been expended on it. Look at it. Look at it. Wilson is back. Wilson, thank you for joining us on the AM show. The outfit you work with, Sky FC, I mean, I'm sure if this stadium had been in use, it would have been of great use to you. How do you feel about what the Esipong Stadium has become?
I would say that I'm very disappointed, naturally. I mean, I was part of the advocates. We fought through Papa Usu and Kuma to get the stadium built. The competition was, Cape Coast also wanted it. Other cities wanted it. But fortunately, we got to second B. Originally, it was meant to be sited at Jendu, which was thought to be more central and would have made business sense. But the size of land we needed and the impact it would create, it made more sense to put it at Esipong. So we had it at Esipong. Yes, very disappointing. Very, very disappointing, yes.
What would this have meant for your team if it had been in use? I mean, where do you play your matches, for example? What would have been the difference if the Esipong Stadium had been in use? And beyond that, what could it have done for sports in that area?
Infrastructure like that is a huge booster if it is well utilized. Sky FC, I had to spend over 500,000 Ghana cedis to create St. Martin's Park at Daboase. If Esipong was available, and it obviously Esipong would have been much, much better. And then I would have saved that much money. Because whatever I've done there is also not up to the standard Esipong will give you. And you see, in our business where we want good pitches to play on, and to get good videos that you can sell players, you want Esipong. You want Esipong. I mean, everybody. But school of thought will say that we had Azakes, we had White playing at Esipong. So what happened? They were playing at Esipong, but they still got relegation. So it's a tricky situation, but it reflects the kind of development paradigm we are running, the framework we are running. So we think that government has to provide infrastructure. You know, we are always advocating government to bring a factory, to bring infrastructure, to bring this. But what we forget is that putting the infrastructure there is not a development. Development has to be people-based. It has to be about people. It has to be creating wealth. We went to Canada, Calgary. There's a very similar stadium at Calgary. And it has become the event center in Canada. They are running events like nobody's business. On weekends, they have their football on the stadium. But the size and all that area has become big event conference center with hotels and other things. But all revolve around the stadium. That is what I saw. When I went there, I came back thinking that, man, why don't I even write to take a Sipon and run it like the Calgary model, build, facilities around it and create an event center and make it viable. But the question is that, see, I'm in MPP. The moment we are out of power, the next government comes, you lose it. So why would you want to invest so much only to lose it in, in the near future? So it doesn't work. Politics is in the way. We think development is what government has brought, but that is not enough. Development has to be, the private sector has to play their role. The individuals around have to play their role. Traditional leaders will have to play their role. When everybody plays their role, then development happens. But when it becomes something that only government has, and what has happened? Government has put the infrastructure there. They have given it to National Sports Authority. The National Sports Authorities are not facility managers. They are National Sports Authority. Their responsibility is to regulate the sporting industry. But that is not what they are doing. They are not doing that. They are not running the courses. They are not really regulating the industry. What they are is gone into areas that they don't have expertise in. They are managing the facilities. Do they have expertise to manage the facilities? No. If they do, we will not be talking about what we are talking about today. So government has done the right thing, put the investment there. For the investment to be viable, we need a sustainability plan. And we all know the components of sustainability plan. You need to have a clear identity. You need to have a financial plan. You need to have branding and marketing plan. And you need to have an operational plan. Tell me, do we have that? No. We just put the thing there. That facility has 40-room hotel. It's there. It's not being utilized. It has huge restaurant spaces. That is an awesome facility. But we have not utilized it. At best, NSA, they will rent it for funeral. If you have a funeral, you go and rent some small space and give them some coins, then they owe electricity. They are not able to pay. I mean, it sounds up our development as a nation. A Sipon is like Ghana. How we have managed a Sipon is just like how Ghana is.
Now tell me, Joe Garte, former Attorney General, former Second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, and also the founding Minister for Rails, he has waded into the matter and he has spoken about how bad it is and the charge to government to do something about it. But I'll start with you. I would like to get what Joe Garte has been saying for all of us to see. It was on the screen earlier, but I'd like to find out from you. Have you, together with any others or alone, petitioned anybody on this matter? Have you tried reaching to the finance minister who said this was 98% complete and all of that? I mean, has there been a charge from the community? Sometimes I feel we let things go and we don't pounce on those who should do something about it. And we keep wailing, lamenting when we can actually take action. Has there been any action from your end or from the community's end?
There's some talk ongoing. There's some action ongoing. But see, if we have to be truthful to ourselves, assuming, let's say that last year the government had completed the project, what would have happened? It's a rush again. Because nothing will change. See, for it to be viable, you need a plan. You need a sustainability plan. Fortunately, Honorable Joe Garte used to be chairman of the Kenny 11 White. He convinced me to become his vice chairman. So I worked with him 2 seasons. We ran Kenny 11 White. And we were very successful. So he knows football. He understands football. government will renovate this thing and still keep National Sports Authority to run it with the same attitude. Give it time, it will rot again. We need to solve problems. I'm saying that we have a problem. The problem is that if a private person puts up a stadium, you have a maintenance plan. You have a business plan attached to it. You make sure that it's viable, isn't it? Why is it that because it's government, we just put it there and put people who are not competent to run it as a business, we put them there to run it. And then we complain that it is rotten, and then we blame government. Why are we blaming government? Me, I'm not blaming government. I'm sorry, I'm not blaming government. The reason why I'm not blaming government is when government gives you a project like that, you, the community, should own it. You must make it work. How can government keep... government should be building more of these in other communities. Go into our communities.
So you're basically saying the communities have not made these projects work. How?
Communities have not owned it. Communities have not patronized it. The closest I worked on a project, MTN FA Cup, 2015. MTN consulted me. I took up a contract to work with GFA. Kurt was the MTN FA Cup president. So I worked with him. And we had one of the best FA Cup finals at the Sipon. And we filled the stadium because at that time, the maximum patronage we were getting was around 65%. But we sold Mediaman Kotoko. We sold every ticket. Every place was filled. Every seat was filled. Because we made it an event. It was an event. Look, it's an event place. We need the right people to manage it. As it is. If it is given to a private sector capable company, they can run it. They can run a business out of it and fix the roof and fix it and make it work. If we apply public money to finish it, yes, we will finish it. But when we finish it and give it to the same set of people and we do the same thing, we should not expect change. It will rot again, and then we will have this conversation in the near future. I think it's business. It's purely business. It's purely a business. We need to treat some of these government investments as it's a business. You put up such and such, it's a business. You put up national theatre, it's a business. When you put up such infrastructure, it has to make money. Government should not keep investing in the same project. When it has put the business should run, make money to maintain it, to expand it. We should even look. We have a lot of astroturf in secondary type right now, plenty, all over. Go and look at what is happening. People are stealing the cables. It's funny the way we behave, and you steal the cables that make the floodlights work, and then you come and blame government.
So you steal the cables that make the floodlights work and you come and turn around and blame government. But I have some questions for you on the back of that, and then I'll bring in Papa Yenzo Kwanzaa. Let me just say a very good morning to Papa. Good morning, sir. Hello, Papa. Papa, can you hear me?
I can hear you, bro.
A very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. You're welcome, my brother.
Just hold for me, Papa. Let me just quiz Wilson on this bit. So you say some people will steal cables and all of that. If the place had been in order, if the place were functional, do you think people would come in and steal, would have access? It's because the place is in a deplorable state. It's been decimated by the weather and other circumstances. If you leave your house open without any protection, someone will go in there and steal stuff. That's where it is. But you say the people in the community haven't owned it. Has government allowed these people to own it? That's what you should be asking yourself. Isn't government the same entity employing the National Sports Authority, for example, on this matter. And isn't government the entity to release funds for the maintenance of the stadium? So whose responsibility basically is it? If you say the people have failed to own it and that you would not blame government, whom would you blame? Wilson, that is for you.
The government uses public money to put that infrastructure up. It is the responsibility of the MP in that community and the sports ministry and the traditional leaders in that community who gave the land for that thing to be built. We need to negotiate better. We need to negotiate in such a way that we will make sure that the project is sustainable. Because the moment they complete the project and hand it over to National Sports Authority, that their job is not to manage stadiums. You hand it over to them. They will do business as usual, and then you have the problems we have. I was saying that the moment you engage the right people and ownership is properly created, people feel they have to make the thing work. And then there is a sustainability plan. We hire the right people to manage it. They are charging the right fee. They are creating more events. The Manchester United and they went to South Africa to play pre-season. Why can't they come to the people? Why can't we bring? I mean, we can create wealth. We can create the attractions. But see, interestingly, go first has built a private stadium. You know, let's see how they manage. We realize that you see that it would be better managed than the state one, unless they also hand it over to the National Sports Authority. So it's more complicated than we look at it.
All right.
Government should not be in the business of running business. Government should create it, do PPP, find a way to bring the right expertise to make it work. Because if you give it to people who don't have the competence to do it, they will do as much as they can, and we will have the same problem.
Thank you, Papa. Let me hear from you. You're a football analyst, football coach, and you're in Takrady. Do you agree with Wilson on that point? Let's start from there, and then you can tell me what your sentiments are about the deplorable state of the Esipong Stadium. But let's start with what you feel, what you think in reaction to what Wilson is saying.
Thank you once again, my brother. I totally disagree with my senior brother, Wilson Arthur. You know, these are the things which are affecting this nation or this region of Western region we are talking about now. The politics, people are putting politics or political party interest ahead of the national interest. Who owns the stadium? Who built the stadium? It wasn't the government who built the stadium. Who handed over the property to National Sports Authority? It wasn't the government. It's the government who owns the stadium, and the same person who hands over to Sports Authority. So if Sports Authority are not able to manage it well, what should we do? When you have a house or property, then you hand over to Papa Yem's Kwanzaa to manage it. And from years back, we came and said that the property is keep on deteriorating. What do? You ask questions. And if the person you hand over to him is incompetent to do the work, what do you do then? You fire the person and you give it to the competent person to manage it. And we are not seeing this. Go to Esipong now, see how the state of Esipong now. And it seems the leaders, the chiefs he mentioned, the political leaders here, don't care about it. Personally, myself, I have engaged the sports minister, Honorable Mustafa, on this Esipong Stadium for numerous occasions. And one conversation I have with him, he connected me to the subcontractor on the site. And I began myself several occasions. When they are doing the blasting, sometimes you go there, they will not allow you to enter. So you need to hug yourself to find some news for your people. You book appointment last year, December, with the contractor. that he will be in town. So some section of the sports journalists will go with him to inspect what is going on there. What we are taking today, when you call them, nobody picks it. I will send you the message, the email, to myself and the minister. Just yesterday, I sent to honorable minister. He hasn't answered. I forward him message to Dr. or Mr. Joe Gatti or Honorable Joe Gatti. He hasn't responded now. You contact some chiefs and the opinion leaders there. They will tell you they have done their best and it is enough. The simple answer is that the people here, I'm telling you, the people here choosing the political party interest ahead of the national interest. That is what is happening. A simple student doesn't hold football matches alone. They use it for other events. Like, and I'm happy Mr. Wilson, after himself mentioned about the funeral aspect. They do wedding there, they do funeral there, they do other parties there. So if the teams are not generating enough money for you, those little events you are organizing generate some money for you. And if the sports authority are failing to do things right, the government needs to step in. The government owns the property. Who's supposed to renovate this property? It wasn't the government, it wasn't the state. What is Honorable Osnata talking? See, my brother, we need to call a spade a spade. You need to speak truth to ourselves. We need to speak truth to people in power. The government has failed. It has failed the people in secondary credit. And I'm surprised and shocked that people in secondary credit are not talking. When you are youth and raised up to do the right thing, they mark you. They mark you. What is not happening in the city? The city is a ghost town. The city secondary is a ghost town. What is in secondary now? What is in secondary? Come to railway. It's a collapse. Long ago. And we are not telling people the truth. He mentioned about associates in the communities. How many associates in secondary? How many associates? Secondly, have one associate built by Honorable Massa. When it comes to Takrady, we have one associate built by my good brother, Regional Minister, Dr. Kobi Oshedaku Mensah. In Takrady now, he started one at the school, my former school, Alma Mater, Community Material JSS, and he hasn't finished. A small quarter of it, he hasn't. He just completed in Takrady. The first associate in secondary career was in a fair constituency, done by Honorable Joseph Kujo, a fair police park. Then when it came to Lagos Town Banchasi School Park, is one day. What cable has been stolen by the community people. Right. And if you put a facility there or property there, and you don't put proper measures, you don't put some security measures there, the people will go and use it or do whatever they want to do with it.
So let me find out from you, gentlemen, to wrap the conversation, and we shall continue on this beat, highlighting the problems that we see, especially with our sports infrastructure. We are highlighting Esipong this time, the stadium. What is the way forward, Papa? In about some 30, 40 seconds, and I'll pose the same question to Wilson. What is the way forward? What is the next step?
Senior, the way forward is simple. The authorities here, the youth here, need to rise up, and the government needs to rise up. You need to speak truth to leaders, because me personally yesterday, the message I sent to the sports minister, I asked him some questions, that how they are treating Western region or secondary sector is not fair. When you go down to the trade budget, covering the renovation for Accra Sports Stadium, for Kumasi Sports Stadium, for Secondary Sports Stadium, which is a Sipon, we have the least budget. But how come the Kumasi is done, Accra is done, and Takrady is still hanging? And he mentioned something about the hotel rooms in it. The stadium in first place is not completed before the tournament of 2008. Ask him if I'm lying. The hotel and other kind of things which will make the facility completed, they did not complete it. They did not. So we need to rise up, and the leaders, we need to put the political interest aside and need to focus on the national interest. And the youth need to rise up. You need to speak truth to the power. and put away the political interests.
All right. Thank you, Papa, for joining the conversation. Papa Yenzu Kwanzaa is a football analyst, football coach in Takoradi. I'll wrap with you, Wilson Arthur of Sky FC. What's the way forward? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, certainly the way forward is not ranting and blaming. And, because if you...
Wilson, I don't think you want to go down that trajectory. He made a point about... No. I'll not allow you to go there. He has painted the picture that we have to be responsible with this and that government must do something, the community must do something. Let's not go down the road of trying to rubbish what he said. He's off the line.
No, I'm not rubbishing.
Just go ahead with your
conclusion. Rubbish me, I don't care because
No.
There are
My friend, I will not rubbish him. But I'm saying that when we go towards that tangent, when we go that way, then we miss it.
All right.
Because the problem we have is more complicated than finishing it. The government can bring the money, they finish it. And if we don't do the right thing, it will rot again.
All right, Papa.
You need to bring the money to do it, and you need to bring some good
Papa, let Wilson also speak. Wilson, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
If we do not focus on solving the problem, we will have problems. Why would government put up an infrastructure and then have citizens vandalizing, stealing things from the place and making it not functional? Why do we get here? Look, we have a problem. The entire nation, we are sick. The entire nation, we are sick. We need to face it. Look, it's so easy blaming. I'm saying that I've gone beyond the blame game. Let's sit down and have a proper conversation in Takoradi. How do we make this thing work? Yes, it will be renovated. Then what happens? Azakes is in second division. The teams that can play the place, they are in second division. Why is it in second division? They couldn't even qualify to the middle league. So next season, they are not even attempting to come to even Division 1. So when the place is finished, who is going to fill that place? You think weddings and funerals can pay for that investment? So it's very complicated. And I'm saying that we need to really sit down and crack it, because it's not just attacking people, attacking government. Yes, government will come and finish it. And then what happens? They'll come and complete the stadium. They can finish it. And then what happens? It's very complicated.
Thank you.
Some of us have invested heavily. I have a team that virtually qualified to the Premier League. And if we had qualified, we would have played at it.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining the conversation. This is where we'll have to sew it up, but we're grateful that you've shared your thoughts. Papa Yenzu Kwanzaa is a football analyst, football coach in Takoradi. We also have Wilson Arthur, president of Sky FC. Now, before we get to our next segment, we've been talking about Galamsey this morning. We all know water is life. Well, let me tell you a bit about why it's so important, water. Water is life, and Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle you purchase on the market refreshes you better. And they have perfect sizes for everybody. Are you thinking of the kids? 330 ml, maybe 500 ml will do for them. If you want more, 750 milliliters, 1.5 liters or 1 liter or 1.5 liters for those who always want more. But beyond that, they also have their 19-liter jar bottles. So maybe you want something bigger for your home, for your office, 19 liters. That will suffice. So all you must do now is drink Awake purified drinking water wherever you go. Choose a bottle of Awake. And here is the part that really warms my heart. For every bottle you buy, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. There are people in these hospital facilities who can't afford to pay for their treatment. Heart conditions are difficult situations. Very few can afford it. So by purchasing Awake purified drinking water, you're actually dropping something in their kitty to save lives. If you'd like to purchase in bulk, just call 0262 351 251. 0262 351 251. It's another quality product by Casapreco Company Limited. Do remember, this advert is FDA approved. When we return after the break, it's AM Business, brought to you courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Now, what are they talking about this morning? Some Ghanaians are saying there has to be accountability for our use of COVID-19 funds. Countries donated, many entities donated, but where is the accountability? That is up next on the AM show. Do stay.
Parliament enacted the COVID-19 Health Recovery Levy 2021, Act 1068, to impose a special levy on the supply of goods and services and import to raise revenue to support the COVID-19 expenditures and other related matters. The COVID-19 Health Recovery Levy was applicable to both standard rate and VAT flat rate registered person. There have been a lot of conversation with respect to the levy on whether or not it should be scrapped. President Akufo-Addo in S29 address on Sunday declared an end to COVID-19 pandemic in Ghana, but emphasized the significance of the COVID-19 Health Recovery Levy in addressing the unforeseen expenses caused by the crisis. He recognized it might not be the most popular tax, but he appealed to the people of Ghana to comprehend the need for this levy during these challenging times.
Let me make it clear that COVID expenditures, essentially unplanned, have been subject at my instigation to audit by the Auditor General and are going through parliamentary processes. We all deserve to be reassured that the crisis was not used as a cover for corrupt practices. The COVID Health Recovery Levy that was introduced to help fill some of the expenditure holes might not be the most popular tax, but I entreat all of you to bear with us. The COVID Trust Fund has performed an invaluable service, and with these developments has reached the end of its mandate. I thank the trustees as well as all donors and contributors to the fund. Going to the IMF was not part of the economic transformation agenda I'd been pursuing, especially as my government had gone the extra mile to bring to a successful end the IMF program we inherited from the previous government. But who would have imagined that President Akufo-Addo would order the closure of airports, offices, factories, or schools?
But some Ghanaians are calling for the scrap of this levy, indicating it's affecting their income.
The COVID levy should be scrapped off because I feel like it has performed the duty it wants to perform. When it came, even though we had help from outside and other places, we still took this levy. And the levy is so much on the country. In this economy that we are in now, it should be scrapped off so that we can venture our money into other things that will profit with the individuals, than we still paying the levy and not getting anything back from it. Because at the end of the day, I don't think they are going to take in more vaccines. I don't think they are going to buy more sanitizers. No. So they should just scrap it off so that we venture our money into other places. I think the e-levy can cover that side. It's already taking e-levy a whole percentage that we are not even seeing the accountability of that. So the COVID-19 levy, no, you should just scrap it off. You shouldn't try to play with our mind saying that it's going to push it to somewhere else. Then you should name it other way, not COVID-19 levy. Because already we are waiting for accountability on that and that of the IMF loan that, I don't know if it's a loan they gave or it's free. Here we are. So you should just scrap it off. Or you should just name it because he is good at naming things. You should just name it for us. I believe he's the president and then he makes decisions for the country. So if he making decisions for giving us a free thing doesn't mean we shouldn't hold him accountable. Since he gave us free, after all, some perception will be like, we didn't call for free. You brought it. And I think it was a good initiative he made. But still, we need accountability for the man. You can't tell me you use that whole money for everything. No, yes, we know you run at a loss. If you run at a loss, we just want to see that, oh, you did it and you ran at a loss. You did it and then you had a surplus in our account. Then we go to know that, oh, okay, there's transparency in the country. and then we can push ahead and say, okay, then take the COVID-19 levy and then use it for a different thing. But you don't want to give accountability. No, you should come and account to us, and then we will decide whether the the COVID-19 levy should continue.
With the levy, I believe that as COVID-19 has been declared to end, I believe the president may want to find ways to probably end the levy. So we cannot say that the government still wants us to keep paying the levy or whatsoever. Probably he wants to declare an end to the levy as well. But it could also happen that the government may want to continue the levy so that it could channel it to some other profitable ventures that would benefit we as a country too. So I do not see anything wrong with the levy itself, because as Ghanaians, we would have to at least make some contributions to build our country. I believe that as part of governance, accountability is very good. It's a good thing. And in as much as we are calling on the government to be accountable, I think it's a step in the right direction. For me personally, I believe our government has been accountable during even the time of the COVID-19, because it was always giving us updates, and I see that to be a part of accountability. So let's look ahead. I believe that the government would want to listen to the cause of its citizens. So it would probably come out with this kind of accountability that we are looking for. To break down what the monies were used for, it hasn't come officially from the government, but for some of us who were witnessing the developments during the COVID-19 period, realized that some were used to cater for the very poor people in terms of feeding, some were used for purchasing some of the COVID-19 vaccines and co. So technically, we saw that the money was being used. So as I'm saying, it's just for them to apply the figures to it that this is what was used for, and I believe it would come.
I don't think we are supposed to still be paying for the COVID-19 e-levy, because now there's no COVID-19, as declared by WHO. There's no COVID-19 in the system, so I don't think we are supposed to be paying for this COVID-19 e-levy again, because things have increased, prices have increased, inflation is in town. We are not supposed to be adding this also to our income also. So I think if it's scrapped off, it's going to be okay for us, and it's going to help the country also. And we should give it a different name, not COVID-19 e-levy. If you say COVID-19 e-levy, which means you're going to use it to pay for COVID-19 expenses, but then you using it for health sector, this and something for health sector, name it a different thing. Then we would know this is what we are paying for.
Even though there is the president has declared an end to COVID-19 in Ghana, I think we should still be paying for the COVID-19 levy, since the president has promised us that the funds will be channeled to the development in the health sector. And then I believe the government incurred some costs during the COVID-19, so I think we should be patient with the president this time around and still keep on paying this, the COVID-19 levy.
For me, I want it to be scrapped off. Since the president has already declared an end to COVID-19, I don't think there's a need for him to allow us to pay any levy on it. Yes, so it should be scrapped off. I want to know if it's going to be that feasible. So its feasibility will determine whether it should be maintained or scrapped off. Yeah. Let's say, for example, the motorway. I personally use the motorway all the time. There are potholes. Motorway, there's not supposed to be potholes, but there are potholes that causes accidents day in, day out. Yeah, so I'm not seeing any feasibility in the taxes that we pay to him.
World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte in 2020 revealed that the World Bank has provided the government of Ghana $430 million to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, Ghana and other countries benefited from the $650 billion fund from IMF to fight COVID-19 pandemic impacts.
So from what the president has said, my inclination is that the president wants to use the COVID-19 levy to increase revenue mobilization in the country. Where we find ourselves as a country in Ghana, we need to find a way to increase the revenue. The alternative for the government is probably go to Parliament and change the name of the tax. That's all, and then you have to justify why that 1% still will have to still be there. That will probably settle the debate that is ongoing. But from the look of things, it has come to stay, and until we get out of these financial challenges we find ourselves in as a country, this 1% will still be on our books. if we strengthen the hand of the internal audit agency in the country and allow them to work, I'm sure we'll be able to find a way to stop this issue of accountability, which is not well done. That was, remember, it was a precondition from IMF that gave way for the 3 billion. We have still not even accounted for. We only accounted for the money we received, but not the one coming from the VAT component, this 1%. And I'm sure a lot of, even the president admitted it in his speech, that people use it to perpetrate some mismanagement of funds. But I'm sure the audits will be able to bring a lot of these facts out. If the court system works very well, and those who went foul will be taken to court and then probably ask them to pay back the money that they took.
Some want accountability of all these monies received during the fight against the pandemic from the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, and other European partners.
We don't see what it's being used for. There's no accountability for the money. So for me, I think it should be scrapped off. Maybe if government will tell us that, okay, we've used the 1% COVID tax for this, and we can all see that this is what it is, or maybe we've used that money to do this or that, then we know that at least the money we are paying, we are seeing the benefits of the money. But here lies the case that we are not seeing anything the money is being used for, and then we are being asked to pay. So for me, I don't think it's really important to. I don't even want to relate it to the water, free water and free electricity, because every government have budget for the year. And I mean, sometimes we student leaders, we have budget, but sometimes we make provisions for any other things. So I'm sure the money that we receive from WHO and then any other governmental or non-organizational firms that supported COVID-19, those money, we don't even know the total amount of those money. So we can't even say that the government used that money for the free water and free electricity. So to me, it doesn't still count. So we see that government is using the COVID-19 tax for this. It still doesn't count for me. Yeah. It should be a structure, or I don't know how to put it, like a plan that, okay, we are using this money for this, and this is what we are going to do. And then there should be a pictorial or graphical presentation of the thing that you want to do, so that we, the citizens of the country, will know that, okay, at first we didn't see what the money is being used for, but now the government is saying that I want to use the money for this. And then we'll be like, okay, then we'll still continue to pay, because that's how I see it to be.
The government is supposed to be a representative of the people. And of course, we've thrusted our resources for them to use. So in order for for them to carry the country along with them, they should be able to account to us. Let us know what the monies they've accumulated, the monies they've been able to collect from us are being used for. If that is not done, I mean, you hear a lot of Ghanaians make assertions that the money they've collected is actually used for nothing, and they don't even see the essence of the COVID-19 levy. But if we are well accounted to, where the monies that have been accumulated are explained to us what they've been able to use it for, I think we'll actually give them applause for that kind of innovation.
Well, I believe the president should be accountable for all the monies being paid due to COVID-19, because it is the money of the Ghanaian people. So if Ghanaians are calling for accountability, I believe the president should should be accountable for all the monies, whether donation or even the COVID-19 levy. The president should be accountable, whatever income they are making and whatever they are channeling their money into. They should be accountable for whatever they are using their money for.
Proper decision making, there should be a good accountability. So if you're not making accountability for any income or expenses that you make, I don't think you're able to make good decisions that is going to have a great impact on the current generation and future generation to come.
The levy is a levy, and I'm sure it's everybody in a way paid for it. So I'm not excluded. I pay for it a way. And it affected me because you're going to pay for something in a mall and you realize that you're paying for the levy. I mean, the prices is shooting up, and maybe with the current inflation and all that, imagine how much you're spending on something you're not supposed to be spending on. Yeah, so it impacted me on my spending levels, yeah.
According to the Ministry of Finance fiscal data released on April 22nd, 2022, the government collected 773.93 million Ghana cedis in revenue from the COVID-19 health recovery levy imposed in 2021. This amount received between May and December fell approximately by 12.7% short of the 889.09 million Ghana cedis budget target. However, expenditures related to COVID-19 and its effect totaled over 2.8 billion Ghana cedis for the previous year.
Welcome back from there on the AM show. We continue, and our focus up next is Ghana's schools of shame. We brought you different facets from different parts of the country and what children have to go through just to make it to school. In today's edition, we bring you more of that with Jojo Kobna on the beat.
I think that worry in my school is that when the Chinese people's always black, the board always shake, and when the master is writing, the hand always shake.
My name is Atua Hega. I am in from JHS1. Some are sitting outside, some are sitting in the floor, and some also are sitting in.
Martina and Hagan, JHS2 students, speak for over 500 children at the St. Anthony School in Gbane, a community in the Galamsey district of the Upper East region. The children have tolerated the sounds of rock blasting and dust from the Shanji mining site for many years. The school was previously located where the mining site currently operates, but the children were relocated when gold was discovered close to their school land. But with time, the mining company started mining close to the school when it discovered more gold. The company built a 3-unit classroom block which currently accommodates the lower primary.
If rain also falls, the rain also is coming, so we always go to the next people's class.
While students at the JHS level study under a simple mud shed which has developed spiraling cracks like the spider web, or more appropriately, shattered glass. The blackboards have developed large cracks that can contain the feet of a 6-year-old, while the top edge of the blackboard is partly chopped off and jagged. Parts of the roof also badly ripped off. Some parts of the wall completely fallen, but the children risk their lives daily, all in the name of education. But that is not the only concern here. Atanga Janet, a student at the school, says challenges here are overwhelming.
Sometimes our teachers cannot even come because of they are not quarters in the school. And when they are not quarters, they will bring their motors in and out. And when they do not have money to buy fuel, they can't come. Or when rain falls, they can't also come to the school. So we want quarters for our teachers. And we do not have chairs. We do not have enough chairs. We do not have enough books. And we do not have enough classes. And we are...
Indeed, a basket full of challenges.
Some of us are sitting on stones. Some of us are also sitting on floors. And the chairs, when the stones are, the town is not floors. So when the stones are shaking the chairs, when you are writing, it disturbs the writing. And when
Azumateng Vida is part of a citizen group that has been demanding social accountability at the local level.
Because they need this place for their work, they decided to build another one for our students. So the elders showed them a land that is opposite here. So they finished building, but it was left with small. But about some few months ago, they stopped operating on the school and they were not working on it, and they've locked the place. There's a security there. Meanwhile, JSS from 1 to 3 were suffering with the sun.
A non-governmental organization specializing in education, School for Life, brought them together to address the needs of the school. Under its citizen-led action for educational accountability and responsiveness project, members of the citizens group have held a series of engagements with authorities at the District Education Office and the Talensi District Assembly, but their needs are yet to be addressed.
We wrote letters to the elders around, the police, the assemblymen, the DC, and then the education directors.
Residents say the mining company promised them a new classroom block. Unfortunately, the project has delayed. The DC for Talensi, Thomas Dwanap Winnie Pearson, says he will follow up on it.
Corporate institutions would definitely have corporate social responsibility. I have been engaged with them. From afar, that block to the left is almost completed. But I was told they want to equip it with modern gadgets. They want to put laptops in. I don't know whether in every classroom, every student, people would have a laptop or whatever. But they said they are building a high standard school. I'll re-engage them. Yeah, I would have to push them hard. Yeah. So the PRO is out of town. When he comes, I'll ask them the stage of the school and whether they can allow the kids in before the rains came.
Further delays mean the children will miss school during the rainy season. Still in Talensi, the St. Joseph's School in Kare, built in 1951, sits in ruins. Aside the deep cracks in the school building, strong winds have ripped off the roofs of the building. The children have now been forced to study under trees. Harina Karim takes us on a tour of his former classroom.
Come with me and see our school. This is my school, and something is not happy with this. The walls have cracked, and the teachers are scared that if they come in, the wall will break. So, or if teachers are even scared, all of the zincs and the walls are weak. And we don't like to see this school like this. Government should help us with this school. All the walls have cracked and the doors have removed.
My name is Baba Fedos. Look at our school. Look at our nursery children. They are sitting on tree. They don't have any classroom to sit. They are sitting on the floor, no mat. They are sitting on there. They cannot learn.
Children sit on cement blocks, stones, roots of trees, and even on the ground. The Talensi District Assembly has just started digging the ground for the construction of a school block. But how long will it take? The DC for Talensi has some answers.
How soon is a matter of resources. Fortunately, we landed in the hands of a good friend, and he has accepted to build the school to completion before we find money to pay him. Yeah. We can't push him too hard, but we have told him the first phase should be up to roofing. And once it is roofed, we think they can start using it whilst they do the finishing up. So we've given him between 1 and 2 months.
Ghana in the 21st century. Behold our schools. We'll continue with details of that in subsequent programs and bulletins. But it's time now for us to knock off. Before we go, though, let's celebrate a few people. Beryl Richter sending us these wishes. Happy birthday to Apostle Christian Hansen of Born to Win, Mandate, and Fountain Gate Chapel, Ankafo. Wishing you more grace, oil, and favor in your ministry to the youth. Love from Auntie Ajua Amma Tego. Also, happy birthday to my nephew, Sebastian Kobi Spiogabra, praying that God will favor you as a husband and as a father. Isn't that sweet? May God fulfill his purpose through your life, from Auntie Ajua Amma Tego. So those are the wishes for you on this special day. Do stay with us on this network. It's a wrap for the AM show, but up next, we have Joy News Desk, and you'll be seeing a familiar face.